Sacred Symbols, a PlayStation podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support our show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to Sacred Symbols, a PlayStation podcast. This is episode number 422. My name is Colin Moriarty. I'm joined as always by my son, Chris Raygun. Chris, it's good to see you in your crash shirt holding a Snapple.
Mm-hmm.
Custom made, or is that something that you have you worn that before? I feel like it's scratching something in my memory.
I've definitely worn. Yeah, I've had this for a little bit. Yeah. I saw it and I was like, that is too specific for me not to own.
Right, I agree with that.
But yeah, I don't know, man. It's dude, this last week has been crazy. I've been helping it, so I helped like 2 people move.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's just I'm tired.
That's tough. It's take a penny, leave a penny with that shit.
Take a penny, leave a penny.
You know, I've helped people move in the past, and you just got to do it. You know, you just got to grin and bear. And I never asked. I helped a few people move in San Francisco specifically, and I never even needed their help moving. It's just like you got to kind of do it. You know, and it's good. It's good to do that for a friend. Because moving sucks. I hate moving.
So it sucks so bad.
I will never move again if I can help it. So,
right.
I'm literally just going to stay here forever. So I'm never leaving. Did they move from like apartment to apartment or?
Yeah. It's just like a different space. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't too many boxes or anything. It's just like, you know, it's just always tedious because there's so many, you got to figure out where things go. And then you got to like move. There's not necessarily a lot of space if you've accumulated a lot of stuff. So like there's boxes and then it's like, oh, now the path to the kitchen's blocked because there's so many boxes. Got to move this. And then it's a whole fucking Tetris and Jenga situation going on almost. But yeah, so like my back's a little fucked up. It's a bummer, but
yeah. Especially if you're not used to doing those kinds of specific movements and motions of lifting and
yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're a mover, I mean, why would you? Or like, you know, you work in like some sort of blue collar trade where you're like moving bricks and shit like that. Like, why would you even be used to that at all? But I always think about I helped my friend Craig move in San Francisco. It was a long time ago, maybe 13 years ago or something like that. And what I remember about it was he had broken up with his girlfriend, and his girlfriend was just kind of like, you know, like with her hands on her hips the entire time, like in like the like near the door, like watching everything going. It was very awkward, but
yeah,
we got through it. For this, I don't know if you I don't know why you would remember this either, but when I left Santa Monica when we first had started the show those couple of years, I just slowly started shipping everything. And so like things would just start disappearing. Like, because I knew I gave myself 100 days to leave. I told my girlfriend at the time, I'm like, I'm leaving in 100 days. And it was whatever that was. And that's why I left Christmas Eve. But like, I would just go, the FedEx store was down the street or whatever. And so I would just like get an Uber every so often and just start shipping things. And then by the end of it, everything was just gone. It was expensive, but it was necessary for me to get rid of all my shit. I remember especially shipping my books was like crazy expensive.
Oh, they're so heavy.
That's ridiculous. And then like there's a whole like what I learned is that there's this whole school of thought of like, is it better to do the one huge heavy package or is it better to do like split it into 10 boxes? And there's like advantages and disadvantages to all that kind of shit. But yeah, fuck moving. You've been in your place for a while. I assume you'll just kind of squat.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like it. You know, it's a good spot. This is the longest I think I've lived anywhere. That wasn't like, you know, home.
Right.
When I was a child. So I've been here 4 years, I think. Which is
that's pretty. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that's nice. I was in my place in San Francisco when I first moved to San Francisco, I lived in a place that's the gay house with all the gay guys. I lived there for like 2 years, and then I lived in the same place for like 8 years. And I would probably still live in that. I loved that apartment, but I would probably still live in it. But 3-bedroom apartment in San Francisco is like kind of huge. It was great, man. It was in the Sunset though, so that's obviously not a place that most people want to live. But I liked it. All right. Well, Chris, it's good to see you as always.
Me too.
I spoke with Dustin, and I know when he's coming back, but I'm not going to tell anyone. So he's just going to appear one day back on the show. He told me he gave me a date, and I'm like, okay, interesting. So we might only have a little bit more of just me and you, the old style. We do things the old way here. Hopefully we'll be able to do this again in the future. Maybe Dustin will pop out another one. Maybe it'll be his turn this time. Holly will get him pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Anything's possible.
Right, exactly. You never know. It is the 21st century. Science is a marvel indeed. What's that saying from Tesla, Nikola Tesla? Humans will create, or there'll be man-made creations beyond your wildest nightmares, or something like that. I'm butchering it. It's a good quote. Let's see. Tesla quote: "Man-made. You may live to see man-made horrors beyond your comprehension." That's what it is.
Yeah.
And that's Dustin getting pregnant.
Dude, I saw you got the that Larry David book.
Yeah. Do I have it in my? Oh yeah, here it is.
Are you like under embargo? Can you not talk about it?
I don't think so. Where's the letter? It came with a letter.
I'm excited about it.
I don't think so. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. I
have that pre-ordered. It's one of the few books that I'm following before release.
It's my I'm good friends with Blake Harris. He's an old buddy of mine. And did you read Console Wars back in the day? You would love that book if you've not read that book.
No, I have it. I'm on like the last chapter of what is it? Oh my god.
Blood, Sweat, and Pixels. Oh, Blood, Sweat, and Pixels. I put it Jason Schreier's book.
Yeah, I put it down for a while. Like I read through like most of it in like a week, and then I like put it down, and I was like, I'll get back to it in a minute. And I just haven't got back to it. It's like I think I literally have like one or two chapters left of it, and then I have Console Wars kind of sitting there.
Yeah, Console Wars is good. Console Wars is really good. He wrote it. Console Wars is interesting because he also wrote The History of the Future, which is the book about Oculus. That was really famous, but that came out afterwards. Console Wars is written like a novel, which is interesting. So he kind of like he interviewed all the people, but he wrote it like it's a story, like them just talking, and kind of the quotes kind of be a little maybe made up and a little malleable, but it kind of gets you there or whatever. Really cool style. This is, so I've talked to Blake a lot about this book, and I won't speak extensively. What's funny is I don't think he would mind me saying this, is like he and Larry have been like hanging out for years now. And he was even on set, I think, for the last Curb season and the HBO show, the History show and stuff. And he's been like following and talking to him and interviewing him for years. That I know. And that's so yeah. So I hadn't talked to him extensively. We're actually meeting next week to talk. But yeah, I'm so proud of him. And yeah, the book is called Emperor of Nothing, The Making of Larry David. And really, really excited for it to come out. I think it comes out October, something like that. So yeah, this is the uncorrected proof of it. And I'll be floating around the pool to read this in the coming days. Very, very excited about that. But yeah, shout out to him. Really, really exciting. Also, I forgot about this. I got this letter a while ago, back in April, and I found it on my desk. And I'm like, I never acknowledged this, and I feel bad about it because we try to do this. Ethan Harder wrote in and said, "Dear Colin, I hope this letter and package finds you well. My name is Ethan, and I am a long-term listener of yours going back to the Beyond days. My father-in-law recently invented and patented a new weed pipe. And like any good son-in-law would do, I helped him spin up the 420.shop brand to sell the pipe. The pipe is called the two-step toker, and its design allows you to store your grass internally, transfer said grass into the bowl, and smoke while you're on the go. As a fellow enjoyer of the devil's lettuce, I figured you might get a kick out of it. It's perfect for my long walks with my pups, and I suspect you'd enjoy the two-step toker while you're out and about with Russian trouble. No need for a shout-out or promotion. Just consider this a small gift as a thank you for roughly 15 years of contributing to my happiness. I wish you, Micah, and the pups continued health, happiness, and prosperity. Let me know if you have any questions or feedback on the pipe. With gratitude, Ethan." And it's look, they even have a letter. I don't know if it's going to come through for you because I know we have low quality, but their own letterhead.
That's kind of crazy.
420.shop. So number 420.shop. Hopefully that's, let me see here. Because maybe that, because it has the address on it. So maybe I'll have Blockmore blur it if necessary. But yeah, I just wanted to shout out. So it's like this, just this little thing he sent me. It's like a smoking device of some sort.
Interesting.
So I wanted to just acknowledge it. Thank you for that. $60 apparently, not so bad. Free shipping in the USA, excluding the territories in the external states. Very nice.
That's been sitting on your desk for how long?
So he said it in April, so probably April or May. There's this little corner over here. I have a desk. It's shaped like it's like a corner desk, and it extends.
Right.
and there's just like a little space where I just put things where I'm like, I got to get to that. And then and my desk is actually fairly neat right now, but that was a blind spot for me. So thank you for that, Ethan. Ethan Harder. Appreciate you.
Doxed.
We doxed you, but we appreciate you nonetheless. All right. Let's see here. Well, Sacred Symbols. Sacred Symbols, the PlayStation podcast. We're here. We're here and we're queer. That's what they used to say back in the day when they, in the gay liberation movement. And that's not our saying here on Sacred Symbols. I just felt like saying that because it's a good rhyme. But here on Sacred Symbols, a PlayStation podcast, we cover PlayStation each and every week. And we've been doing so for a very long time. You can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/laststandmedia for early ad-free access to every episode of our show. That goes for everything else in our network too. Defining Duke, the Xbox podcast that's in our network. Summon Sign, the gameplay podcast that's in our network. Punching Up, the Nintendo podcast. Everything for $5 a month. That's the sweet spot. And that's where most of you are at. And we really, really appreciate you. You also get access to the RSS feeds, Discord, Spotify, and so on and so forth. The ability to submit your inquiries on the threads in the news feed for each of the shows. You'll hear them throughout the show. And of course, Sacred Symbols Plus. Chris, you had come up with the idea of, and I don't know why I didn't even think of this, but it's obvious. We'll do a Halo episode. I guess maybe next week we can even record it, but we'll figure that out. So
yeah,
look forward to a Halo campaign evolved spoiler cast and review discussion. We'll definitely sit down and do that. And a few others coming down the pipe as well. I did an episode last week with Lockmort where we just shot the shit and people loved it. Like,
really?
Yeah, people were saying how, because we got into like really heavy, deep, weird shit and out of nowhere. In fact, the episode's so funny because I was like, I kind of just want to dick around. And then it ended up being like just the most serious shit. And people were like, whoa. Some people are like, this is the best episode of Sacred Plus ever. And so I'm like, well, I don't know about that. But I'm glad that you guys enjoy it. So go check that out. Halo will be coming up. And I am sitting down, actually. Well, do we have a letter about this? We might. Yes, we do. Blue Waffle wrote in and said,
oh, no.
You know Blue Waffle?
Of course. Heinous.
The amount of people going after you guys because of physical games debacle is so ridiculously lame and sad. Enough with the performative outrage. If you don't like what they are saying, then leave and unsub. If you don't like PlayStation anymore, then leave and don't give them any more money. I'm tired of these same dumb rants. It's over. Sony isn't changing their minds. Either leave the ecosystem completely or shut the fuck up. Can we talk about the actual games instead of this nonsense, please? Jesus Christ, you physical bros are so soft and whiny. Get a life.
Jesus Christ.
On that note, I'm sitting down. So people have wanted me to cover this more deeply. I'm not going to really cover it more deeply, but people keep saying you got to speak to someone who's much more enthusiastic about it. And the name that kept coming up over and over again was Maddie. And so I was like, okay. So I emailed Matt and we're going to do Sacred Symbols Plus. And I want to hear him out or whatever. The thing that we were talking about though, Jaffe and I on Sacred streaming last Monday was people are just distorting the message so badly that it's not fun to talk about really. And what I mean by that is like, people are like, why are you guys so against it? It's like, no, I'm not against it. I don't know what you're saying. Why can't anyone listen?
No, nobody. Yeah. Those days are long gone.
I don't get it.
They're gone.
And it's funny, Chris, because I didn't use the letter because it was really long, but someone wrote in about the physical games thing. And then someone just responded on Patreon to it. And it's like, I feel so bad for Colin and Chris that, and it had like a bunch of thumbs up where like they can say so much and people can hear so little. And I'm like, yeah. Well said. Because it is starting to get annoying, but yeah, but I want to talk to Maddie. People have asked for that, and so we'll sit down and do that. So that'll be the next episode of Sacred Symbols Plus. Then we'll do Halo, and we'll get into some other things as well. Towers wrote in about Towers also wrote in about this. Just wanted to thank Colin and Lockmort for. Oh no, this is a different one. Just wanted to thank Colin and Lockmort for coming together on Sacred Symbols Plus. What was initially a nice reprieve from the Discgate hullabaloo turned into a pretty emotional episode for me. I find myself in a similar position as Lockmort regarding one of his relationships currently at an inflection point, but I'm having trouble finding the gumption to make an important decision because of how long we've been together. I've never talked about this with anyone, so hearing your perspectives was a cathartic experience for me. I appreciate the content. You guys got to go listen to that Lockmort episode.
Yeah, I'm incredibly curious. I feel like it's come along now. This has been a topic of discussion for like longer than I expected it to be. You know what I mean? Like people keep talking about it. I'm like, all right, what's going on here?
It's an interesting
What is
one.
this?
What is this? How could this be? Lockmort is a good interview. Like he wasn't really interviewing me. I don't think. I mean, we were talking, but he's a good prodder to get. He's like a very natural conversationalist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's good at He's good at asking the right questions at the right time.
Indeed. I brought up Sacred Streaming. Recently had Jaffe on 2 times in 3 weeks, actually, which is maybe too much for some people, but we enjoyed that. Powerwash Simulator, a job's a job, of course, and I got into that. I was thinking about streaming Halo Campaign Evolved this Monday. I don't know that I will. We'll see. I'm playing it and I'm enjoying it. I don't know that would be the most exciting thing, but I'm gonna think about it. We'll see what happens. Let's see. Merch. LastStandMedia.store. Alex Madison wrote in and said, "Good day, Sacred Sirs. Longtime listener and follower of the Chronicles of Colin. Chronicles. No. Since that's what he said there in parentheses.
Yeah,
since the 2008 era.
Back to the drawing board on that one.
Yeah. It's nice. A nice idea. Just one simple question for me today. Why do you not want to sell me a baseball cap? As an avid collector of obscure caps, I feel like that you're missing a trick by not having a Sacred Symbols logo on a nice black baseball cap in your repertoire of merchandise. Please, would you consider adding such a precious item to the shelves of the LSM store? Myself and possibly even others would be eternally grateful. What do you say, boss? Come peddle your wares of all the wonderful and unhinged chatter. It has kept me company through many a dark year, and even some good ones. I'll slowly stroke the top of my waiting scalp and listen. It's better than you stroking something else. Maybe? I don't even know what the story is with that. Can we get like an American manufacturer of it? Can we sell them for cheap? I don't know. If anyone's interested in these things, I'm totally listening. And by the way, still waiting to hear about the Allegheny Hogs IP.
Oh, wow.
Be patient. We have to be patient with the government. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, we have some inquiries from the audience here. Correction to a vital correction, which we'll get to, and then we'll get into the news, of course. We'll get into why do I keep coughing?
Is it allergies, you think?
I think so.
Damn. Rough.
Yeah, sorry about that. We'll get into the news, we'll get into what we're playing, we'll get into more inquiries, and then we'll get the hell out of here. But that'll be hours from now. So let's begin. Straith wrote into us and said, "Greetings, gentlemen. We have 2 of these. I was going to read one. I'm like, all right, it's time. But then there was 2 of them. And so I'm like, well, I got to read them both."
Well.
He says, "You've expressed your exhaustion of the downer death of a pet write-in, but I'll take my risk anyway." Fair enough. My cat, Sophie, died this past weekend, and it has devastated me beyond what I could have imagined. She was a needy little noise machine, but the house is far too quiet without her. It's a fact of life that every pet owner must deal with at one time or another, but to everyone out there, appreciate what you have when you have it. Thanks for what you do and enjoy the rest of your day. I love the name Sophie for a cat. I love human names for animals, like Michael for a dog or something. I was watching a video recently.
I hate that, dude.
It's so funny. The dog's name is Michael.
I had a friend whose cat was named Paul, and it really bothered me. Because Paul in particular, there's something, I don't know what it is, like Michael, whatever, but like there's something about Paul that feels like so distinctly like that feels so human. I'm
too
just
human.
Like, what? Yeah, like it's too human. Trademark, registered trademark. I feel like.
Sorry, Dennis.
I don't know. Yeah, it's too much, man. I don't know. I feel like it comes across a little bit like this is my son. You know what I mean?
Right.
This is my son, Michael, as opposed to this is my dog, fucking, I don't know, Sponjo or something.
Sponjo, yes, Spongy.
Some shit name. I like shit names for animals.
Well, that's the fun thing is like you can name them whatever.
Right.
And it almost seems like a waste. But at the same time, I like the dedication of naming them a human name. Anyway, Sophie, the cat, R.I.P. in peace. Sacred Symbols is sponsored by BetterHelp, a unique way to experience the talk therapy that may just revolutionize your life. Learn more now at betterhelp.com/symbols and get 10% off your first session. It's fair to say that in today's modern world, the idea of helping oneself could be described as maybe a bit overstated. After all, someone's always telling you to watch what you eat and exercise and so on and so forth, and really it's all good advice. But today, one piece of advice I don't want you to let go in one ear and out the other is that talking to a licensed therapist about whatever ails you, mind and spirit, really can work. Indeed, the entire notion is popular for a reason. By expounding on what's inside with someone who's trained to listen and assist, you can better move on with your own life, unencumbered from whatever's holding you back. And I would know. I've been in therapy on again and off again basically my entire life at this point because For me anyway, it's not something that has to be ever present, just an option for when I need it. Maybe you're in the same boat. With BetterHelp, a roster of more than 30,000 licensed therapists become open for you to utilize, and you do so remotely, whether via video, audio, or just by text. The benefits to this approach are legion, obviously. A high level of convenience, not having to go anywhere or even get dressed or leave your house, with more affordable pricing that is especially helpful for those who are underinsured or outright uninsured. BetterHelp has, helped millions of people, and you can be the next in line, but only if you're willing to approach the situation with honesty and with an open, solutions-oriented mind. Remember, there really isn't a single experience under the sun that another human hasn't already gone through. They call this the human condition for a reason. I promise you that someone out there can help, whether you're feeling down, having issues in relationships, friendships, or at work, or simply feeling a sort of malaise that you can't quite even identify. Oh, and a 4.9 out of 5-star rating from 1.7 million client reviews and counting kind of says it all, doesn't it? My friends, see the reviews for yourself, see what stands out, and see if BetterHelp is right for you. Visit betterhelp.com/symbols today. That's BetterHelp.com/SYMBOLS. Again, for remote therapy that can help you right now, head to betterhelp.com/symbols. Sacred Symbols is sponsored by Shopify, the engine behind Last Stand Media's in-house merch op, and the company that may be able to help you get your eShop off the ground too. Learn more for yourself now at shopify.com/sacred. So longtime listeners know all about our travails with merchandise. We've had some great partners over the years, no doubt, but everything was transitory. Terms changed, availability changed, pricing changed. We legit couldn't take it anymore. So some years ago now, we invested mightily in bringing our merch operation in-house. And allow me to tell you off the bat that it's been a rousing success for us, one of the best decisions we've ever made. It gave us control, better customer service, higher quality merch, and even better pricing, but none of it would have been possible without the massive assist we received from using Shopify to fuel our online storefront. The thing any successful entrepreneur will tell you is that too much of one's time is spent on doing things outside of whatever the core business is. You know, the semantics, the paperwork, the phone calls, dotting the I's, crossing the T's. It's exhausting, yes, but it's also a complete waste of time. Yet when you work with Shopify to get your online storefront up and running, they take control of the operation pretty much from stem to stern. This frees up time for the busy business person to focus on actually growing their business, which of course can only be done by focusing on the core product. In other words, Shopify can take a whole lot off your plate, all the while keeping the gears of commerce fully lubricated. And since successful online storefronts focus a great deal on customer loyalty bred through customer satisfaction, Shopify's little offerings like one-tap checkout make the entire experience more frictionless for the buyer too. With Shopify, nothing stands between your idea and a real business, so go make it one. If you're ready to stop putting off your business and start hearing, then you're ready for Shopify. Start your free trial today at shopify.com/sacred. That's shopify.com/SACRED. You heard that right. Start your free trial today at shopify.com/sacred. That's shopify.com/sacred. Sacred Symbols is sponsored by Cash App, the digital wallet and suite of online financial services used by tens of millions of people around the world. Learn more about how Cash App might make your life more fluid by heading to cash.app today, or simply explore the app for yourself. So as we all know here in Sacred Symbols world, my PSN account was boosted from me a couple of months ago, attributable almost entirely to Sony's horrendous online security. I got it back quickly, as we know, but not everyone is so lucky, and really, the best way to experience security is to dodge these issues altogether. And when it comes to money, well, money is very much worth protecting. Indeed, keeping your money safe from fraud deserves to be a priority, and Cash App treats it that way. With Security Lock, Cash App requires a successful Face ID or biometric authentication to access your account. It's like your money is protected by your own personal bodyguard, even if your phone is lost or stolen. Plus, if you're about to send money to someone new and Cash App notices something looking a bit off, or that you may be falling for a scam, it will send you a warning before the money is sent to confirm everything looks right. Download Cash App and spend with peace of mind today. New Cash App customers can earn $10 if they use the code SECURE10, that's SECURE10 in their profile signup, and send $5 to a friend within 14 days. Terms apply. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures. And the Burrito Hero also wrote in, so this one came later, and I'm like, well, and then originally I was like, all right, maybe I'll just delete the one from straight. We don't have to do this. And then I'm like, well, we'll just do it. Hey, fellas, my girlfriend and I just lost our boy due to various medical issues. His name was Excalibur, and he was a 9-year-old. See, that's
there you go.
And he was a 9-year-old French Mastiff, Old English Bulldog mix. Notice here, Chris, he wrote Old English, OLDE, English, Bulldog, DOGGE. And I really hope that that's not the way it's spelled because that fucking infuriated me just reading it.
There's no underline.
That's true.
There's no red underline under it.
Right.
So this, I mean, that's upsetting if that is true.
Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah.
Like I'm reading Chaucer or something like that. He was the best boy I ever knew. My girlfriend knew him since he was just a little pup, and I met him when he was around 2. He was one of those dogs that never barked at anything or anyone, a truly beautiful and pure soul. I'm just glad he got to live a whole 9 years. Most French Mastiffs and Mastiff mixes only live between 5 and 8 years, the shortest lifespan of any dog breed. He brought us so much joy, and I wanted to share his memory with you guys. Keep up the good work, and don't forget to hug your furry friends tight. I'm very sorry to hear this. This is awful. I am fascinated by the dog breeds because I've learned more. I don't know anything about dogs, really. I've learned more about them in the last 10 years. Like the dog breeds, like he brought up, that don't live very long. And it's like, I don't want to do that. Like Boston's live between 10 and 12 years on average, and many live to be 15, 16, 17. It's like, God, I hope we can get to that. That would be awesome. The idea of like getting to the dog's 3rd or 4th birthday and being like, well, you're kind of like over the hill.
Yeah.
It's just sad. It's like buying a hamster. It's like you got a few years here at max. And I hate that. And I'm so happy that there are these medicines now that are coming out that are elongating dogs. Have we talked about this? That like there's stuff that like you give dogs later in their life and apparently will help them. Do you know how? Did we talk about how it works? Apparently, I'm a layman. I'm gonna oversimplify this, but apparently when dogs get older, and I think this is true for every mammal, but when dogs get older, they stop eating, and it's not like to like starve to death. Like they just eat way less, and then there's all this deleterious shit that happens to the body as it prepares to kind of like die over, the years that it's like. And basically, as I understand, this medicine just ensures that the dog doesn't stop eating. And then it adds years on the back end to the dog because it kind of, I guess, slows down those processes or something. It's something very basic like that. And yeah, interesting, weird. Like I'm sure there are scientists out there that are listening. Well, we probably don't have anyone that smart listening to the show, but they're like, that's like the worst explanation I've ever heard in my life. But I'm like, that's basically.
I remember something about it. I remember it being explained to me in a way that sounded like that can't be what that is. Like it is how it is, but it sounds so trivial. The way that they talk about it. It's just like, oh, you just stretch the cells out. You know what I mean? Or something like that. It's like you just put the cells on a stretcher and then it leads to 10 more years of the dog's life. And it's like, that seems kind of insane. I believe it, I guess, because you're scientists.
It's called, the company is loyal.com. I looked it up.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing the thing called the Dog Aging Project. A daily beef-flavored pill by Loyal that acts as a caloric restriction mimetic to manage metabolic health without weight loss. So yeah, that's interesting. That's how it's described. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Animals stress me out for that very reason. Like I remember being so mad like when my parents got me a dog. They were like, and it ended up being their dog ultimately because I ended up moving and I was like, you're my mom and dad. I'm the only other person who lives here. If I leave, you probably need something here. You know what I mean? Like a dog will better serve you than 21-year-old me. Moving to Los Angeles. It's not a great environment, probably.
Right.
I'm gonna be drinking all the time. It's not good. So, and I remember like they got me a dog, and I remember being like, you've just given me like heartache in exactly 15 years. Like I don't really want this. Like it stresses me out. Like and I've had multiple opportunities where like people was like, hey, you want this? Like there's no home for this thing, and I'm like I feel so guilty because I'm like I feel like I have to take this thing. And I also kind of want to as well because it's just like, oh, I mean, like you feel like you're doing a good thing, raising a dog who doesn't have anywhere to go. But then I'm like, this is stressful.
Yeah, it's a big responsibility.
I feel like I'm too neurotic. I'm too neurotic for it. I think I'll always be thinking about like, oh man, like this is gonna suck. Like I'm never gonna be in the moment with this animal.
Yeah, I find myself strangely, I don't want to say fixated on it with my own dogs, but I think about it too much. Where I'm like, especially with Rush, because I have such a unique relationship with him, and it's like, you might be halfway through your life, dude. Like I just maybe even more depending on how, which is awful to think about. Dogs are complicated though, because I had cats my whole life and I love cats. They're awesome in their own way. but they're much easier and they take care of themselves. They don't even really seem to be able to like care about you.
They're like roommates.
Right, exactly. And
Yeah.
I really, dogs are different, but the one thing that I always encourage people, if you get a dog, because the expense is a big problem for people too.
It is
And
expensive, yeah.
I always say this because we bring this up and people always ask Micah and I, like, what is the insurance company you always recommend? I'm like, we got Trupanion for both dogs. And if you get it, I think before they're 12 weeks old, you're like grandfathered into like this, this lower rate. And it's so like, we've had such a good experience with it. And that at least removes like the, for people that are kind of cash strapped or whatever, you get that thing where it's like, your dog's going to die. You have to pay $5,000. It's like, and maybe it'll work and maybe it won't or whatever. And then they just hold you over a barrel. And at least these kinds of things allow you to make good decisions without having to worry about sacrificing your future, because they are a huge expense as well. But the emotional aspect of it is, it's heavy, man. And I'm going to be, I want these meds. I think the FDA hasn't, I think it's past FDA approval, or at least one of the rounds of it. So,
yeah, if we could find a way to swap, I don't even think we need to necessarily extend. If we could figure out how to like take parrots and dogs and just kind of swap them. You know what I mean? Like I get my dog for like 60 years.
Right, exactly.
And then the parrot, like I'll take it. Like I like birds a lot. I think they're cool. I think parrots are really interesting actually. But like I get a good 15 years with a parrot. I think that's a good amount of time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right, because there are some of these animals like the turtle's 160 years old. I'm like, come on, man. Like, why can't that turtle give up 80 years? You'll die at 80 and then give up some of those years to someone else, like as if there's like a give up, there's a jar. Yeah. Like
it's like a stat. It's like a skill tree. Once we figure out how to do that, then it's over. Then we're gonna start borrowing years from other animals that we just don't give a shit about. Although turtles are fucking awesome, to be fair. Like
they are. I think they're great.
Those like giant ones. What are they? The Galapagos ones?
Yeah.
That is the most majestic animal I think I've ever seen, genuinely. Because you're just like, this is fantastical. You're like, it feels insane. Have you ever seen them in person?
No, I don't. Well, maybe at the Bronx Zoo or something, but no, I don't think so.
Distressing. It really, it's humbling to see them. Because you're just like, you're like a lion, but you're just chill. And you're just kind of grazing on grass, and you got this giant hunk of armor over you that's the size of like 6 of me, and you're just walking around being the chillest dude for like 70 to 100 plus years. Yeah. It's really mesmerizing. I think I saw them at the San Diego Zoo. I think that's like that's like a huge that's a massive zoo.
Yeah, that's like the big West Coast Zoo in the US.
But yeah, I saw those for the first time I think like a couple of years ago, and I brought my parents there, and I just remember like, this is frighteningly strange watching.
Yeah, they are interesting that they carry around this massive plate of armor, and it's like no wonder they're so slow and encumbered,
yeah.
But yeah, they are. I think animals are generally really interesting. There are some that I don't want to be around. But I generally try to, we're like beyond apex predators. We are something else, and we can do whatever we want to any of them. And I think that comes with like a responsibility to simply not. That's why I don't know. I don't want to say I have a problem with it, but zoos are a little weird to me.
Yeah.
Like I
agree.
Yeah, like I don't think the animals are being abused. In fact, in a lot of cases, they're treated a lot better than they would be in the wild, and they have like certain things not to worry about, and there's rehabilitative things that people do great things with animals. I'm not saying that. There's part of it where I'm like, I don't know about this.
It's like the vegan thing for me, where I'm like, you're probably right. I'm still gonna eat my bacon and stuff,
right?
Because it's hard for me to quit, and I guess like I have an addictive personality, I suppose. Just not to drugs. It's more to just like, I guess, like caffeine, I guess. But definitely foods where like I'm not giving up pork. Or
definitely
chicken. Certainly, like I'm sorry. I think I would genuinely give up maybe a limb before I stopped eating chicken. Earnestly.
Yeah, it's funny because you say like, are the vegans right? And it's like, I think they're right about the way animals are treated, but I don't think they're right about us simply not eating animals. Like we've always eaten animals. We're like before
No,
we even
yeah.
knew what the fuck was going on, we were eating animals. So it's like we got to just figure out we should be humane about it. But then again, yeah, like you're saying chickens. I'd kick a chicken like a football if it meant I can eat it on the rotisserie later. You know, like
yeah.
no,
I would have.
I feel bad for chickens actually in a way because they are so fucking stupid that like it's no wonder. Like, because look around all the animals around the world. Like, we really could have domesticated a lot of different things. We domesticated like it's funny like the combination of things that we
Right.
You know what I mean?
We've chosen.
Yeah, like we rode horses. We got the cow and the pig, but it could have been almost like anything. And it's like the chicken is begging for it. You know, they're so stupid. They're so loud. You know, it's like just eat it. It's fine. It'll be all right.
Yeah. We've talked about this before, but it's like if I had to kill all the meat that I ate, chicken would be like the least.
Yeah, I could probably do it.
Yeah. You don't even know what I'm doing.
I would never eat pork or a cow or anything, though.
Pork would be difficult. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could kill a pig or a cow. But a chicken, that thing's done before I even step on site. You know, like I already got the seasoning ready. You know? But yeah.
Yeah, man.
Zoos are strange. There's like there's a eeriness to it. Even it's like wholesome in a lot of ways. You see kids like being excited about it, and there's niceness to it too. But there's like an outline there where it's just like, I don't know, you're just staring at an animal that's just like, it's got like a very small amount of space to move around, and you're like, this can't be satisfying for the animal. I'm sure it like appreciates the food and the care, but like in the moments where it's just being gawked at, I bet it's probably like, the fuck is going on?
Yeah, it's very strange. It's very strange. But to each their own. I'm not offended enough by it to like make a stink about it. But I'm always like people, because when I lived in San Francisco, San Francisco has a zoo. It was actually pretty close to where I lived, and I never once went to it because people would always like, you know, you'd go to like day trips or whatever, and want to go to the beach, go swing by the zoo, and I'm like, no, not really. But yeah, maybe I'll meet you. Maybe I'll meet you at the bar or something later on.
Yeah.
All right. Pixel Junkie 76 wrote in. Oh, and by the way, the Straith and the Burrito Hero, R.I.P. and peace to your animals and to all animals.
Yeah.
I'll do one of these. There you go.
Classic.
It's a little classic little Catholic thing for you. Pixel Junkie 76 wrote in and said, howdy, CC and absentee. My mom is a gamer. Mom. Her favorite genres are open world, story rich, RPG adjacents. She has completed Red Dead 2 3 times, Horizon Zero Dawn at least 4 times, and she even finished Crimson Desert before I did. Fucking huge nerd. Mom uses gaming as a painkiller. She has chronic back pain from an injury in her youth and now has osteoarthritis in her hands and neck. Just wanted to leave a comment in hopes you guys could please shout out my mom who occasionally listens to Sacred. Oh, and could you give my dad some words of encouragement to pick up gaming again? He hasn't properly dabbled since the PlayStation 1 days and is the only non-gamer in our household. Cheers, guys, for all your content. First of all, it's awful to hear about your mom's ailments, but why? But does she know there's a Horizon sequel? She doesn't have to play Zero Dawn 4 times. It's excessive. Red Dead 2 3 times. Crimson Desert's apparently a beast of a game as far as content is concerned. Those are pretty serious games. You got, dude, she's got the world. When you're walking into something like this, like kind of new, the world is your fucking oyster, dude. I can't even imagine. I wouldn't want to be because I would have meant I missed all these games over the years, but like walking into this and just like eyes wide and be like, I can do anything. And I've not played any of it.
There's probably an element of choice paralysis there. I would imagine, right? Like there's so much.
That's probably true. Yeah.
But yeah, pick up gaming again, dude. Like, what are you doing? You've already dabbled. You've been involved in the PS1. Your wife does it. Come on.
Yeah, you fundamentally understand it. That's half of it, in my opinion.
Half the battle is fundamentally understanding it. If you understand it, then you're good to go. And you're surrounded by people who understand it. You're good to go. You know. One thing did you see that? I saw this yesterday and it kind of blew my mind because I was like, oh yeah, I guess this guy plays games, but I didn't think about it. It was Guillermo del Toro being interviewed on like IGN or whatever, and he's talking about yeah, Shadow of the Colossus made me cry, and like he's talking about BioShock, and I'm like, what the hell? And he mentions Dead Cells.
Oh, interesting.
And I'm like, that's crazy. Like,
bitch, you ain't no nerd.
Yeah, I was like, okay, Dead Cells. That's some Guillermo del Toro knows ball, I guess. You know what I mean? Because I expect him to be no Death Stranding. It's like, oh, duh, you're in it. And BioShock to some extent, like I would imagine, like BioShock would have passed by his sphere of influence. But like Dead Cells is like that's a game.
Yeah, that's a game's game. Yeah, gamer's game. By the way, I said "bitch, you ain't no nerd," which is a quote that I say sometimes, and I realize no one knows why I would be saying that. Do you remember the old videos, the Unforgivable videos?
Oh my god, there's that black dude, right?
He's like, where he's in the woods. Yeah,
dude,
I loved. I thought those videos were the funniest things, and and he says that at some point he's like, "Bitch, you ain't no nerd."
Bitch, you ain't no nerd. Dude, I love that's such I haven't thought about that in forever. I remember we used to bring those videos up a lot early Snark Tank, like first 50 episodes. Because that's such a classic. He's so intense.
I know, it's awesome. Like he's just being for people that don't know, these videos are probably 20 years old, maybe at this point, maybe a little less than that.
At this point.
It's like a black dude being filmed in the woods by his friends, and he's just talking. He's like telling stories, like these ridiculous stories, and it's so funny. Like
he's like snarling at the camera. He's like, it's in black and white. It's really low fidelity. Although, like for 19 years ago, 2006, it's actually the quality's not actually that bad. Still, I'm looking at it right now. 25 million views.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I was at Northeastern still when I was watching this.
Yeah. This is classic. Yeah, there's a couple of them, I think.
Yeah, I think there's like 2 or 3, yeah. And I think one of them's not very good, but I think I haven't seen them in years, but yeah, one of them is chicken sandwiches and waffle fries. All right. Changed name wrote in and said good morning and afternoon. I was thinking today about the saga regarding unfamiliar names equal higher chance of being read on the show and the subsequent chastising of the audience for then changing their Patreon names. I think we should all change our names every week. That way no one gets jealous of Hashim Barakat or Little Raisin for having multiple inquiries read. Thank you for your time. Also, Colin, if you say set the predicate one more time, I'm going to fucking kill myself. Fair enough. That is noted, and I'm sorry about that.
As far as say that much.
No, I don't. I think I say it here and there, but it's funny. There was we've reflected on this in the past, but there was a Reddit thread recently on our subreddit, and maybe I read it a few weeks ago, where it was like colonisms and like people making fun of the things I say. But then it's just a cavalcade of things that I've said. And I'm like, I don't know if you understand that you're just basically saying I have a good vocabulary. Because it's like, remember, it's like literally like 100 responses. And I'm like,
well, it's just kind of like the way that people speak. I see people be like, because I always start, and this is, I do think in retrospect, this is a very my area kind of thing. Like I know a lot of, like my family does this a lot. They'll know what they're going to say when you ask them a question, but they'll start with, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's almost like a disarming technique, I think. I never thought much about it, but it's just how it goes. Or like, yeah, no. You know, like the yeah, no. And then I know I say it ostensibly a lot. Because I like that word. I like words that begin with O. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something about it. It's like
osteoporosis.
Yes. It just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Osteoporosis. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just the way that people speak. Like you're not going to have like a completely unique vocabulary for the like. It's just that's not how anything works. That's untenable. Like you want to sound like a completely different person every time you speak to people, or like every time you speak on a podcast. It's like it's not gonna. Good luck. If you speak for thousands of hours, people are gonna clue in on the things you say all the time.
That's the scary thing, right, Chris? Is like the AI. The AI probably already can, but will eventually be able to replicate us to a complete. Like if you just were like to one of these AI engines, go listen to every podcast Colin has ever done, and replicate him.
Yeah,
it would be scary and completely accurate. There probably would be like some weird shit about it that you would have to listen to for a long time, and then you would identify the things that aren't quite right. But you're right. I mean, it is what it is. I don't care. Whatever.
Yeah, it'd be easy. It'd be easy for me. Just say ostensibly, say genuinely, and then say yeah, no, and I don't know, and then you're good. You've got.
I got to get rid of the. Who is? There's like noise outside.
There's a guy with one of those crank organs and a monkey dancing.
It's the good doctor doing stuff to my lawn right now. All right, let's see. I just looked down and he's like driving Micah thinks he kind of looks like George Lucas. So I always think that now when I see him.
This lawn rhymes.
This one.
Have you ever seen one of those guys, by the way, with that weird like the monkey, like doing the organ crank, like the busker with the monkey?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But
have you ever seen that in real life?
No, never in real life.
I saw that in real life exactly once, and it was like it blew my mind because I was like, no way. That made me believe everything.
Yeah, that's like
that made me convinced like Spider-Man was real. You know what I mean? Because it's like that's the most absurd shit ever, and it like that I saw that in like Hey Arnold or like some cartoon or something,
right?
And it's real.
Something you see in a European capital or something. I don't know.
Right? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing in Columbus Circle with a fucking monkey? Isn't this illegal? I don't know. Whatever. It's insane.
Monkeys freak me out a little bit. Like we were talking about animals earlier. Monkeys, they're fine. We're related to them, but they freak me out because I feel like we're too on the level with them, and I don't like that.
Yeah,
like, I don't like that. I don't like that we can't really communicate, but we kind of. You're too smart, like you know too much, but you're too scary.
It kind of freaks me out that we know that they use tools because there's no way we didn't put a wall in front of that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there's no way we didn't like see them using tools and we're like, nope, not no more.
Yeah, you're not doing this. Not on my watch.
You're not getting any further than this. And that kind of freaks me out because I wonder like in complete isolation. You know what I mean? If there was just like a little landmass where there was just apes and then just humans, I wonder where they would be. I wonder if there would be a difference if we didn't have such a global, you know what I mean, like a apparatus essentially restricting evolution in a lot of places. Like I wonder what things would be.
They better watch themselves. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, they really should.
Sick of their bullshit. Always.
I love them reacting to magic tricks. As if they understand it, and it's just like that's the shit that freaks me out. Like you understand that the card is not the same card. Whoa.
Yeah, it's creepy.
Oh boy.
Michael wrote in. Are we getting the new correction territory here? Maybe. I don't think so. He says, hello, gentlemen. I have been in the field to give everyone a Dustin update. I saw him at the Cleveland Classic Game Convention last week. I didn't talk to him, though, because as soon as I realized it was him, it was too late. I am happy to say that from my sighting, he looked alive and well and was out looking for physical games. Shout out to the Ultimate Gamer for leaving his wife and newborn son to leave the state and search for video games. Also, Colin, I was playing Onimusha and looking up a guide to get your game facts guide. You spelled immediately wrong in it, was that your collaborator, Brett Nemesis Franklin, to blame? Jesus Christ. So I do have an Onimusha Warlords walkthrough I wrote in high school. But I did do it with someone else. This guy I've never talked to, like, I don't know, some guy I met on GameFAQs. So I don't know who was responsible for the spelling error. I'll just blame him. Glad Dustin could go and do things.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's on vacation. See, I thought he was on parental leave, but
yeah.
Foolish me.
Yeah, I too would prefer to go look for video games than raise my son.
Right.
You know?
Nice. Real nice.
Real nice.
I'm gonna have Lockmore clip this out and I'll send it to Leon in 10 years.
Yeah, there you go. I'm sure he'll appreciate it.
You were born during a
file.
It's like a baby being born during like a I've been making Michael laugh recently because I see things that I'm like the Romans would think this was crazy. Like we have like a harvest moon or like when a comet's it's some omen or whatever. Yeah. And I was like Leon was born during an ominous time. He came in during the end of the physical game stuff, and your dad was out there. He couldn't, even in your infancy, he couldn't stay away, and he left the state to go look for physical games.
8 lines.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Oh, man.
All right, we do have a correction. Dirty Flint wrote in a rare correction. We don't have too many corrections these days. I don't know why, because we say things that are wrong all the time. But he says, hey, lads, pop quiz for Chris. Did Jonathan Blow make Limbo? I asked because our sweet angel Colin, in the heat of podcasting hosting, accidentally said he made it. No correction from his co-host. We all hope Dustin returns soon. He would have never allowed that to pass by. Please keep a deep interpersonal relationship with that chicken. I did say that. All right. So I saw people say this, and do you know what the game I was thinking of was Braid? Obviously,
Braid, yeah.
But it's funny when the first person said that, I'm like, what do you mean he didn't make Limbo? And in my mind, I'm like, I was thinking Limbo was Braid. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
and like and indignantly, I went and like Googled it, and I'm like, oh, Braid.
Yeah,
that's what I meant.
It's funny this comes up because I remember hearing that and being like, no, that's not right. But you said it so early on in a very long segment to the point where like it felt so deeply unnatural by the time you were done organically speaking to go back, because I feel like it would have came across like, yeah, I wasn't listening to anything about that.
Right.
You know what I mean? At the beginning, you said that Jonathan Blow made Limbo. That's not true. You're thinking of Braid. And I thought it just would have been like, the way that I think about it, and to be fair, this is incorrect. This used to be correct, by the way. It used to be normal that you could rely on just a good faith, charitable understanding of the audience that like, right. Oh, we know that Jonathan Blow didn't make Limbo. It's like when people talk about the physical games, like, doesn't Chris know that like vinyls and CDs aren't like video games because it's proprietary hardware? It's like, yeah. I'm talking about that it's specific, like it sucks that that's how specifically like this medium is, as opposed to every other medium where it doesn't have that restriction. It would be nice if we could just have a physical way to just make these games without the proprietary. We should understand this intrinsically based on who we are and how long we've been talking about this and our level of like base knowledge of this industry. And so I just assumed that like, people won't make a big deal about it. They know what he meant.
It is funny.
Whoops.
I appreciate you're absolutely right, first of all. And I appreciate the corrections. You're right, though, about there's a lot of pedantic shit happening, I guess, is what it is. And that annoys me only in like people say things to me every once in a while. And it's not probably even really listeners of the show, but like people on social media and like drive-by people where they're like, no, you don't understand. And then they explain this like really basic fact.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've been in the games industry for 24 years. Do you think I don't know that?
Oh, Game Source can't print their own PlayStation 5 discs? I never thought of that.
It's like, I'm like, there's this old saying of like, it goes around, it's like a meme or I don't know what it is of going around everyone being like, it is surreal for people to explain so wrong the things that you were there to witness firsthand. And that's like a lot of the physical games thing is happening now where I'm like, people are like, don't you remember? And I'm like, I was there. What are you, like 22? You know? Like, you don't have to explain it to me. Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah. But no, I thought the flow of the show was slightly more important than making that correction.
No, I appreciate that.
Because I just assumed that people would just understand. Like, it's one thing if people are blatantly wrong for a long period of time. You know what I mean? But a simple misspeak to me is like, no, I don't know. I don't know how worth it that is. I'll be on the lookout for that in the future. And I'll interrupt regardless of how.
Yeah, just cut in.
Just cut in. It's like, I'm sorry, sir. You're wrong on this.
Just cut in. Yeah, this is why we need pardon the interruption. You know PTI. I mean, I know you don't watch it, but you must know that show on ESPN. Yeah. It's been on for forever. They had this thing at the end with Stat Boy, who was like their intern. He ended up becoming a host of another show around the horn or whatever. But like at the end of the show, they would kick to him for like 15 seconds. And he'd be like, what did we get wrong? And then he'd be like, nice. Oh, you said this guy had this many home runs, but he actually had this many home runs. This guy actually coached here. And they would like, and it was kind of awesome.
That's interesting.
I have been thinking about like, we need a producer. People know out there that I'm a huge fan of a podcast called, it used to be called Around the NFL. And it's called Heed the Call now, or it kind of like split off. And people remember that. You remember, Chris, that I was in the video of them announcing their new video because I like talked about how they had broken up. This podcast had broken up and they put it in their marketing and stuff. So football season's almost here again, and I've kind of been tuning back into a lot of stuff. And I was listening to their show, and I'm like, this show is so fucking good. And and it's so funny, and it's very much like our show. Like it's spiritually it is the spiritual sacred symbols of like the football world. It's crazy. It's completely like, I wish that you and Dustin were into the subject matter, because I think you guys would find the show so authentically funny. Because they're just so silly and unserious, but then they get serious and they get into all the stuff. But I think one of their major advantages is they have a real producer and I'm not saying Dustin's not a real producer, he's the EP of the entire company, but a guy who he's there, he's listening, he's on mic, he's not on camera, he's got a soundboard, they got chyrons, they got all these different things going. And I'm like, would that enhance our show? Or see, this is, I think, the edge of it. Like, we're on a razor's edge with this, Chris. Is it taking ourselves too seriously, and does it remove the je ne sais quoi of Sacred Symbols by having too high of a production value? You know, different cuts of, like, you know, it'll be two of us, then it'll go, like, you're talking for a while, so it'll just go to you, right? Or I don't know how that works. I don't want to. There's a joke with us, right? That, like, the more I try, the less likely it is to succeed. Like, the things that I do that I don't even think about, everyone's like, that was great. And I'm like, it's like the Lockmore episode. I'm like, this is literally like me. Like, we didn't prepare for this. Everyone's like, this is the fucking best thing you've ever done. And I'm like, oh, good. So do we, I don't know. That's like where my mind's been recently, though, listening to them, where I'm like, I think, because that takes all of that shit off of them. And then they can really just be.
Yeah, I mean, it would be. Yeah, I don't know. Because in some ways you could argue it allows for somewhat less seriousness because you're not your own producer. You know what I mean? You're not on the lookout. You just get to be. So in some ways, it actually, like, I don't know. It's kind of paradoxical. Because it does increase the production value technically, and it is technically taking it more serious, but at the same time, it frees you up a little bit more to be less serious. Yeah,
I don't know. Even with the footnotes and like keeping the timestamps for lock, like I didn't do it last week, and I'm not doing it again now because it's like it's too, like, even that is too. It's like I felt bad the other day when I was on with Jaffe. He said something to me and I missed it because I was like reading what was next or whatever. And I'm like, we got to get a producer. We need a producer. Like, I can't be reading the super chat and queuing up the next story and doing this. And it's like, I really just want to host the show, be really engaged. But it can't be, it's hard to do, especially with just two of us.
Yeah.
But Dustin will be back soon. All right. Christopher, let's get into the news. And I wanted to start with a PSA, and I'm very curious what you have to say about this because I talked about it extensively with Jaffe on the Sacred Streaming, which most of you probably didn't hear because it's different audience. So we'll go into it again, and we'll go into it a little bit deeper. There's this movement that I wanted to acknowledge for the physical games thing that people are being, I think, very cynical about. Well, many people are, called hashtag PSBlackout. And have you caught up with this at all? Have you seen this?
I know a little bit about it, yeah. I'm not like, I don't know, as of like this morning, I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, I've been keeping up with it until last night.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything new coming from it. But basically, the PSA I wanted to put out there, to be fair, is that for those that are interested, there is someone trying to organize a week-long blackout on PSN because of the physical game situation. I'll read the letter that this person wrote. So I've seen it come from this Twitter account, Does It Play One, which I'm pretty sure is, working to ensure games and hardware remain accessible now and always, testing commercial releases offline. So I think they have like a compilation of like what works and how does it work without being connected to the internet by putting discs and other media into these various consoles. So they write this: for several years now, Sony Interactive Entertainment has continued to grow further apart from its fan base. Whether it's closing beloved studios like Bluepoint, pursuing a misguided live service strategy, canceling fan events, leaving PSVR 2 to die, or being completely out to touch with the franchises players want to see return, PlayStation has never felt more disconnected from its community. Ending physical discs in 2028 feels like the last straw. We understand there is only so much SIE can control, but with the decisions that are within its control, the company continues to mismanage the strong position it inherited from the PS4 era. There are so many issues with PlayStation right now that bringing back physical games would only be meeting players halfway. There's still so much more SIE can do. We miss Twisted Metal, SOCOM, Sly Cooper, and Resistance. We miss PlayStation Experience. We miss Japan Studio. With that, we are calling on PlayStation players to participate in an economic and gameplay blackout from Sunday, August 23rd at 7 p.m. local time through Sunday, August 30th at 7 p.m. local time. Players can participate by turning off their consoles or logging out for 7 days. We feel that this period gives publishers and developers minimal impact while still giving players a voice. Now, this has been a controversial thing from multiple perspectives, and I think reasonably so. But I'm curious, before I even get into any of that, how does that strike you?
I mean, I don't know if I feel any kind of way about it. I mean, like if this is something that you feel like you want to do it. I'm all for, like, you know, if a consumer base feels unheard or disrespected, that they use their voice in any way that they can, and if that's the way that you feel like doing it, I think that's valid. I also kind of feel like I just don't know how much that's going to move the needle. Like I really don't think this is going to be a decision that's going to be reversed at all. So, like, I think it will be ultimately fruitless, but as a display, it seems relatively harmless. You know, doesn't strike me as anything crazy.
Yeah, I agree. Cody Jones wrote in and said, "Hey, CDC, I'm just throwing this out there as someone who basically buys exclusively physical games and hates the impending digital future. The PSBlackout is fucking retarded. Thank you for writing in."
Yes.
Thank you for writing in.
Oh my God.
Thank you for telling. I really appreciate you telling me. Very curt. Very tart. I disagree from a principled standpoint. I feel about this, Chris, the way I felt about, and I this is kind of a weird example, but Stuttering Craig's Real Game Awards or whatever. On one hand, it's easy to be critical of someone doing something that probably won't work and won't be very good or whatever, however you feel about it. On the other hand, I think there's something laudable about doing something. I mean, so with Craig, and this is the argument I made and why people were so upset when I had him on. I'm like, my whole argument is I actually turned down the opportunity of like presenting an award, so I didn't want to be involved in it. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I think it's cool that someone tried to do and is trying to do something. Instead,
right.
Talk is cheap. It's one of the great sayings, because it is. I know that because I talk all the time. But like doing something about it is hard. We say that with our merch, right? Like I did something about it. I cut off all of the foreign or at least unfair trade, no Chinese merch, all that. I did it because talk is cheap. It's easy to say like, oh, I support American thing, but I actually put my money where my mouth was. And you can say what you want about this movement and its likelihood of succeeding and all that. I agree with you, Chris. It's 0% chance of it succeeding, in my opinion. Virtually 0% chance.
Yeah.
But they put themselves out there. They did something. They did a fuck ton more than a lot of people complaining about it have done. I will say that. Yeah. At least they are trying to rally the troops. Go ahead.
Now, here's the thing. If they do it, because this is August, what is it? August?
Let's see. The dates are August 23rd to August 30th.
So here's the thing. As of right now, this is still talk. It hasn't happened yet. They're not doing it quite yet. And to be frank, they are doing it at a period of time where there wouldn't be much to play anyway.
I mean, that's exactly right.
It is kind of one of those things where it's just like, I guess that is really the only way that you would really make an impact, because anything that you would do by logging off, like if you logged off the week that GTA 6 comes out, they're not going to notice because it's all going to be up. It's all going to be up regardless of what anybody does. Or even in September, it would probably be up because there's a lot of stuff coming in September. So the timing is both convenient, but also I think is a period of time that would lead to like maximum effectiveness for whatever it is they're trying to do, whether it is get their attention in some way by like really sinking a sizable number of active users or whatever. But as of right now, it's still talk.
Mm.
They've not done it yet. We'll see how it goes when they actually, like, when the day comes and how many people actually do it and whether or not it even makes a dent. I just and maybe I'm cynical, but like I just feel like there's just, if there were enough people, and again, this is maybe somewhat circular reasoning, but like I just kind of feel like if there were enough people who involved in this who did care or who really wanted this to mean something, then the core situation that they're protesting wouldn't even be happening in the first place. Like if there were a sizable number of people really, really invested in physical games to the point where they would make a sizable impact on the PlayStation ecosystem by just not logging in, they would still be making discs.
Yes.
You know, like I just kind of feel like it's not self-fulfilling. I don't know what the exact word is. There's a term probably, but like it just kind of, it seems self-evident.
Yeah, it's inevitable. Like in a way. Or there's an inevitability to it because of the numbers is basically what you're saying. And I want to be clear. It's like, and I think people understand this. What I'm supporting is like someone doing something, because I feel like for the last month, people have really just wringed their hands, and there's like a petition. That's like, no one gives a shit about that kind of stuff. Someone has to, you have to take action. You have to take action. And this is the first and only thing I've seen of someone trying to do something. Do I think it's going to work? No. And do I think there's a lot to be critical of in terms of the way they're presenting it? Yeah. And this is the thing Jaffe and I got involved, really into on the show on Sacred Streaming. And I'll do it again here. And because I'm curious what you think is like, I think this letter that they wrote to like rally the troops is really all over the place and could have been, it's full of some truths, and it's full of some things that are nonsensical and things that don't help you. And it does, I think, all kind of revolve. And I think this is where getting critical of it makes a lot of sense, is what they're asking for isn't only very much, but it's at a very opportune time. And so here, I'll go into a little bit of it. Chris, they say for several years, Sony Interactive Entertainment has continued to grow further apart from its fan base. I agree.
Yeah, that's
100%. Whether it's closing beloved studios like Bluepoint, pursuing a misguided live service strategy, canceling fan events, leaving PSVR 2 to die, or being completely out to touch with the franchises players want to see return, PlayStation has never felt more disconnected from its community. Again, that last part I agree with. PlayStation has never felt more disconnected from its community. 100%. Like, you have to be fucking blind not to see that. Now how you define community and how they even define community and what they see as their community, these are all different things, because they would say like, we have 150 million people playing on PlayStation. Like, who is our community? The people like this there's all, it's the internet. It's just this decentralized city state structure. Right. So it's like, so it's hard to describe that. But from my perspective, I think that's totally true. However, within those two truisms, Chris, in this first paragraph, there's some, it's like, beloved studios like Bluepoint. It's like, yeah, that was rough, right? But a misguided live service strategy, it's not misguided. And this is where I think, and from my perspective, starts undercutting the argument a little bit.
Well, yeah,
I understand it's been botched, but the idea of it being misguided means that, from my perspective, means that it was something that they should have never done at all. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. And this is where I think, we can only beat this horse so much, but this is where I think people just don't understand the economics of all of this. It's like at some point you just don't understand. You don't understand. You don't get it. Like at some point you're being willfully obtuse about what they need to do and where they make their money. They make half of their fucking money on 10 live service games, of which they own one of them. Period.
Sure.
So it's not that big of a deal, but that bothered me a little bit. I'm like, we got to let this thing go, man. You could say like the botched live service or like bad moves made with live service, but this misguided live service strategy, it's like, I don't know.
Well, are we maybe projecting a little bit too? Because they did say pursuing a misguided live service strategy. That doesn't necessarily inherently, I mean, we could infer based on the types of people that like, maybe that's what they mean. But I do think it is a misguided live service strategy. You know what I mean? Like, it's not necessarily that a live service strategy is misguided, but theirs is.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? Like, you could make that interpretation of that. I don't know if that's necessarily like, accurate. That feels more semantic to me. But I do agree that like there's a lot about the rest of this that kind of feels like, even the Bluepoint thing, it's just like, brother, like Bluepoint, they were working on a God of War live service game. Like, they kind of fucked themselves in a lot of, because didn't they want to do that? Wasn't that something that they were like trying to?
Yeah, I think that they pitched it and they should have been held back. Yeah, like, well, that was the argument we made at the time, was like, I was like, to be fair, Sony should have just been like, we don't care what you want.
Right.
No
Yeah.
offense.
Like,
we bought you
Blue
for a
Point.
reason. You know, like
They didn't buy Blue Point for the creative team of incubating new projects. They created they bought Blue Point for the reason that they were popular in the first place, which is you make great remakes.
It's like Nix's being like, we want to make something new, and it's like, get the fuck out of my office. Are you crazy? Go port that game and get the fuck out of my office. All right,
but like them closing Blue Point is like that. I mean, that's also on Blue Point in some way, because like we've based. I can't remember the specifics of like the story, because like we covered it many weeks ago now. But like I remember just reading up on it and being like, oh, they just completely like lost their way with the studio. Like they just completely like just were not. They just, I don't know where their heads were. Really,
yeah, it's hard to say what the original sin was with that, because I agree with you that I think they thought they can do more than they could. However, they were put on like contract duty for God of War, and I think filled their heads with not delusions of grandeur, but this idea that like it's what actually happened with Nixis working on Saros too, where like they were really doing unique work on Saros, and it's like, yeah, that's cool, but did you buy these guys to be contractors? I don't understand. I'll be curious to see what happens with Nixis. I think they'll be okay, because they can probably just be used as contract. But anyway, this other stuff I disagree with too. Canceling fan events. So like he's talking about PlayStation Experience. I was at 3 of the 4 PlayStation Experiences, and they were great. But I know for a fact Sony didn't. I'm pretty sure lost money on those, and they just didn't end up being this thing that they thought it was going to be. And I think we kind of have to respect that. Especially like I thought it was really cool actually, but if you remember, anyone out there was at it, it's like the first PSX especially was so small, like this renegade small little thing, and it was cool. I really liked it, but I don't know that I blame them for getting rid of those things. The culture of conventions in a lot of ways is morphed and is like PAX. We always talk about PAX is like an irrelevant show now. PAX used to be huge. Like we would send people to cover it and stuff. No one gives a shit. Like things have just kind of changed. Now it's like Comic-Con still does well and all the rest, but it's not really, there's a lot of regional stuff, a lot of smaller things. I don't blame them for getting out of that.
You know, I don't know if this is like me just, it could be confirmation bias in some way, but like, I really do think there's an argument to be made that like, look, everybody's gotten crazier, no doubt. Like fan communities are, I think, way more toxic now than they've been in probably maybe ever, as far as I'm aware. Like I've never, like it's so bad out there. And I think a lot of that could have been mitigated if we just like if we still had E3, if we had reasons to kind of come together a lot more. Whereas now it's like we just never do. And now it's just like, oh, Nintendo comes out with their really polished, like here's fucking Donkey Kong or whatever. And then that's it.
Donkey Kong's at it again.
Yeah, and Sony comes back. And Sony comes back with their equivalent thing, and there's no real tangibility to it. I don't know. I kind of don't think it has nothing to do with how things have gone. But I don't know. PSX is one of those things where it's just like, it is what it is. It's gone. Just like E3 and all good things.
I mean, PSX has been gone. Yeah. PSX has never existed in the lifetime of this podcast. So it's not like it's a but whatever.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not myself trying to be too pedantic. I just want to go through what I think my problems with this letter. He says leaving PSVR 2 out to die. I feel like this is really unfair. I think VR fans have to understand that it's not so much Sony as much as it's like, it's just a niche and no one really cares.
Yeah.
And I actually, again, I've been so critical of Sony for many things, as people know, but for the VR stuff, like they were believers. They were true believers. They did it again. I was surprised they even did it again.
Yeah.
They really believed in it. I think it's kind of disconnected from reality, pardon the pun. That you can look at them and be like, yeah, they left PSVR 2 out to die. It's like, I can't even believe they gave you PSVR 2.
Right.
They really, really wanted to make it work. They really, really believed that this could be like a new frontier of gaming. Maybe it still will be one day. I don't think so, but I like it. But to say they left it out to die, like when I go to PlayStation Blog or look at the games coming out, and I'm like, there are still PSVR 2 games coming out. Like that to me is the exact opposite of it. They could shut certification down. They're probably selling vanishingly nothing on that thing. So I disagree with that completely, and I think that that's a stupid argument. And or being completely out of touch with the franchise that players want to see return. I think that that's somewhat true, but I think we'll get into this a little later in the letter. I don't think people are thinking of the financial realities of bringing these things back. I think they're way too stubborn about bringing some things back, and they're way too stubborn about keeping certain things around or propagating. We talk about this with Horizon. Horizon can be present. I love Horizon actually, but like doing all of this Horizon, I think is too much. There's room for you to do other things, and so whatever. They say also ending physical discs in 2028 feels like the last straw. We understand there is only so much SIE can control. Now, I do believe it. I do agree. It does feel from a lot of people's perspective like the last straw. And I feel that. I do disagree. We understand there's only so much SIE can control. I'm confused what they mean by this because SIE controls it all. They made the decision.
Well, I guess economic factor, like how much demand there is, or like I would assume, right? Because that's the only thing that's not in their control. Like
right, but I think that's the way I read it too. But it's kind of like a non sequitur in the letter. Ending physical discs in 2028 feels like it's the last straw. We understand there's only so much SIE can control. It's just a weird. I don't know. I don't mean to be ripping this thing apart. I just feel like there just could have been a better way to more effectively communicate this. But anyway, I'll cut to the chase.
Sure.
Because there's two things that I think we could be really critical of here. I really do have a problem with the idea where this third paragraph feels so unnecessary. It says there are so many issues with PlayStation right now that bringing back physical games would only be meeting players halfway. There's still so much more SIE can do. We miss Twisted Metal, SOCOM, Sly Cooper, and Resistance. We miss PlayStation Experience. We miss Japan Studio. It's like, I made this point to Jaffe. I'm like, I don't even have to look. Spider-Man 2018 sold more than every Twisted Metal, SOCOM, Sly Cooper, and Resistance game combined. So that's not to say that you're wrong to miss those things. I miss them too. I fucking love Resistance. And I was a big fan of Sly Cooper. So I totally get it.
Yeah.
But there's something about the core that refuses to ignore that they don't really drive the ship anymore. And by the way, I say that I don't drive it either. My purchasing behavior doesn't mean anything to them. It's nice money in their pocket, but like I'm not driving. I'm on another graph, like with different trends and shit. Like I'm not their guy anymore. And I just think that at some point we don't have to, you can do whatever you want, but like accept that things have changed. And I just feel like Japan Studio would still exist if their games sold. If Resistance was this huge hit, then it would have kept going. The last Sly Cooper game, which, to be fair, it was Sanzaru, it wasn't Sucker Punch, didn't sell well. I don't know. I just felt like it was a distracting thing. But the thing everyone's really being critical of, Chris, is and this is what you were saying, the blackout timing. And this is where I think, like, I appreciate what they're saying, and I think that they did this because they realized that it's probably the only way you can really get people to even try to agree to something like this. But August 23rd to August 30th, I mean, what are you asking anyone to sacrifice at that point? By the way, I believe that the Call of Duty beta happens during this. So again, these numbers are going to get demolished by the people that are coming in, just like what happened with Black Ops, the re-releases. To me, so what I would have done, like instead of just being critical of them, I'll give them what I would have done if I was doing this, which was like, I would have just said, like, we're not locking in September. Like, if you really believe what you say, like, stay offline when they need you the most. This is the last month, the month they're counting on in their quarter, and this is where you can fucking hurt them. I mean, that's the big thing is like, use their timing against them. Why did they announce the disc thing in July? Because July is the beginning of the fiscal quarter, and it gives them an enormous amount of time for this to wash out, right? You use that against them and hit them at the back end of the quarter, where there's no room to back out, where if you guys got organized by the millions, you really could hurt them, and they couldn't hide it on the numbers. It would be illegal. It would be fiduciarily illegal for them to do it. And then they would be asked questions about, like, why did this happen? Why did this happen? Why did this happen? And September was when you hit them.
Yeah.
But I think people, because it's not only Wolverine, which is going to be huge, but all of the other releases, Onimusha and Control and Dawnwalker and on and on and on and on. this shit's supposed to be hard. There is a relationship between how hard it is for you and how much it hurts them.
Yeah.
And the easier it is for you, the less it hurts them. The relationship is totally tied together. And it's really up to you guys. So as I said at the top, Chris, and I didn't mean on even sticking with this for so long, but as I said at the top, I applaud someone for doing something. And I don't think people should be criticizing it from that perspective because no one did anything for a month or almost a month. And at least someone tried to do something. But I think that it's not asking nearly enough, and it's not militant enough in a way.
Yeah, I agree. It needs to be stronger. I think September's a good time. And you know what? Even just and I know they even say in this letter where it's like we feel that this period gives publishers and developers minimal impact while still giving the players a voice. So they're trying to actively not step on the toes of people making games. They just kind of want they're trying to hurt PlayStation without hurting the people who make the games and put them on PlayStation, which is kind of difficult to do, especially if you're just on one console. But like, yeah, I mean, my suggestion would be like, yeah, in September, like just especially if you have another machine, like if you have a PC, if you have an Xbox, like play Control on Xbox, you know, play these other games on PC. Or whatever. If you can't, like, just log out, because that would, I mean, it would do it probably. I don't know. Wolverine's going to be huge, so you're going to have to contend with the fact that like they might not even notice.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's going to come out in the wash. Like, I don't even just because the timing is bad for the Call of Duty beta. But so I think two things can be true, right? I guess that's what I'm saying. Good on you.
Right.
I think it's great. And I hope that people join you if they feel passionately enough about it. But to what you're saying, Chris, about them even trying to like kind of protect the developers and the publishers or whatever is like in a guerrilla war, which is what you're basically trying to wage at this point, this digital, like this thing that you're trying to, collateral damage is part of it. Like, in fact, they might have even more sway on Sony's decisions than you do.
Yeah, that is, yeah.
And
that is true.
If these guys come back with numbers that are bad, if Bandai Namco is looking at Dawnwalker and be like, this shit's soft. How could this have happened to this game? And they all tie it back and they realize, they look at the numbers and they realize it happened to everyone. Again, I think I understand that that's asking too much because it's not going to happen. But September would have been the perfect month to hit them. And really, it would have been interesting. Tokon comes out the 6th, I think, of August. It should have this gotten organized and proliferated even earlier. Tokon might have been the way to do it if you wanted to like hold to account, like we don't want to really hurt anyone too badly. This one game will be the target basically. And it's a second party game. So it would hurt Sony very specifically. And Arc System Works would be fine. So it's like they'll be fine with that if this game doesn't do well. So, but yeah, I just think September would have been the time to really show your grit, because that would have fucking obliterated them, man. If people really could have gone after them at that point, because there are like 6 or 7 big games, including a big first party game. And
yeah,
but I understand that that's not going to happen, and so that's not the plan you make, and whatever.
Yeah, and by the way, if it somehow turns out that this is like way bigger than we assume it is, and it actually does end up manifesting in a way that isn't offset by Wolverine and all these other games coming out, then that's awesome. I have no desire to not see that. You know what I mean? I'd be curious. I'd be very interested to see that happen. I just doubt it. I'd be ecstatic to be proven wrong, because I'd be like, oh, that's interesting. There's a lot more people out there who care and actually give a shit enough to do something. That's awesome. So I'd be happy to see that personally. I still don't know if it'll really make them reverse their decision, but it would be cool to see, because if for no other reason, it would prove to me that people actually like. It's like the polar opposite of that Call of Duty boycott Steam group that we talk about all the time. The iconic boycott Modern Warfare 2, boycott Modern Warfare 2 or 3 or whatever, and everybody's so playing
good.
it.
It's so
on
good.
Launch day.
Love it. All right. Well, I think I'll skip this. We've said enough, I think. All right. Let's get into some of the news of the week now, Chris. This happened right after we published last week. So this is, it happened the day we published the show. So it's old news, but we got to add it to the record. God of War Laufey. Still feel like I'm saying it wrong. I don't know. Comes out February 16th, 2027. So very soon, comparable to when they showed it. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I don't know that I'm like that excited about it, but I feel in my gut that it's going to be great. I mean, even when Ragnarok came out, I'm like, I'm not like that enthused about it. You can't not play that game and be like, yeah, I mean, this is a great game. I'm not so into like the world and everything like that because that's a matter of more subjective taste. But I assume we'll both be there day one for this.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. I think that's a good time. I like this. It's a little bit tricky because we knew that this was happening in some way because we paid so much attention. Like I would imagine from like a layman perspective, if they just heard about Laufey from like the last presentation that they gave and it's that soon, that's a good cadence. You know what I mean? Of announcement to release. Like that's what I want to see more of. I don't want to see, we've been working on this for 7 years. And it's like, all right. I don't care. I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait 7 years for something.
Yeah, I agree. It's very Fallout 4 coded.
Yeah.
Michael Bagby wrote in and said, "Hi, Sacred Gents. What are your thoughts on God of War's February release date? It's going to be a competitive month with Tomb Raider, Metro, Persona, and Fable already scheduled to be released. Do you think someone can move, or are these games too important to be delayed into the next financial year?" I think that's a problem. That's exactly it. Is a lot of companies' financial years end March 31st and begin April 1st. So if they want to ingest these big releases in their financials, this is especially true for Sony, then you have to get it out by March. And unfortunately, these things do matter to them and could really fuck with things. So I also think that the thing about Tomb Raider is I think Tomb Raider moved to February, so they're not moving again. Fable announced their date, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Persona could move, but I actually don't think Persona is too, because that's the Persona 4 remake, I think, right? And I don't think that's too contingent on anything else going on around it. It'll do well. Metro might be the one that would suffer the most, but I think a lot of people are interested in that game too. So I think February feels a lot like September in that there's just going to be a lot stacked on top of each other. You'll have to make choices, and I imagine people will get to these games, but I don't know. I don't think anyone's going to delay out of there. Maybe Metro would be the one that would be most likely, because that game is probably most meaningful to the specific publisher. But Angel wrote in about something people have been tuning into, and he says, "Hello, CNC. Did Sony announce that God of War Laufey Gleaming the Cube release date?" So nice reference. Release date so close to Fable as a stab at Xbox in retaliation to Xbox pulling the Halo trailer. I've seen a lot of speculation about Sony doing this to stick it to Xbox and hurt Fable PS5 sales, but I haven't seen anyone give a reason why. Thanks and have a good weekend. It could be something to compete with them. But I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think that they just kind of chose their date. They probably had this date internally marked for a while, potentially before we even knew of Fable's release date as well. But I will say this, to me, it is totally counterintuitive that Sony would want to hurt Fable on PS5. Not only is that cutting off your nose to spite your face, literally, in that you'll just make less, you're making 30% of every copy they sell on your own console. Why would you want to hurt yourself? But if you're Sony, you want them to do well. It's actually really important that they do well on your platform. At the very least, you make it painful for them to start taking games away again. And I don't know if you saw, the pictures were going around, like Sony, you know that Sony has like its new tagline, I think it's like, "It happens on PlayStation" or something. Have you seen this? And
no, I haven't.
And they had these like banners at San Diego Comic-Con, or whatever Comic-Con is going, what just happened? Was it San Diego? Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And they were like, hanging, and one of them was Halo. And it was like Master Chief, and it's like a PS5, and it says like, "It happens on PlayStation" or whatever. And it's like, this is good for them. Do you have any idea how they were probably like cracking open champagne when they put that fucking thing together? They're like, "We are literally making a PlayStation," like, and this is where you can see and maybe where Ash is a little upset is that like Microsoft went pretty far in licensing this shit to Sony. To allow them to even do something like that is crazy. And I imagine what they pulled out of the state of play, which is what Angel is referencing, is something that was fairly serious as well, perhaps. I mean, we saw the trailer later, but in terms of indicating where this relationship was, it reminds me a little bit, Chris, of when Microsoft acquired Bethesda, but they were already locked into Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop.
Oh, yeah.
So like they were making these PlayStation games, and they had to market them and do all this weird shit. You can tell that like Phil Spencer signed a different deal than what they would have done with Halo. But I saw that and I was like, damn, dude, they don't want you to, they think this looks awesome for them.
Yeah.
They're expecting people to like stop and be like, what the fuck is that? Is that real? How could that be? And so when people always have these conspiracies, and I'm like, I think you guys think it's too personal. And don't get me wrong, it's personal sometimes. PlayStation spawned out of a deeply personal situation with Nintendo. Like they literally wanted to kill Nintendo because of like what happened with the PlayStation add-on for Super Nintendo or Super Famicom. And so I'm not saying passions don't get involved sometimes, but like the idea, it's like, oh, they spurned us. We're going to hurt their game on our platform with our own game release. It's like, no, that doesn't really make any sense if you think about it.
Yeah, it's also worth noting that, you know, you did mention that they might have had this date locked in, but also Fable delayed into that space.
Mm-hmm.
And also God of War 2018, I think, released around that time. I think it was like March.
Yeah,
like
March.
March,
Yeah, it was like early spring, I want to say. Yeah.
It was early March, if I recall. And so, like, this is like late February. It's like, yeah. Or like mid-February. It's like, that seems about... Yeah, I don't think it's anything like untoward or weird, really. And like you said, I think it behooves Sony to have Fable actually do well on PlayStation. So
yeah, I think I don't see it any other way. I don't know why they would look at it and be like, let's hurt this game. Let's try to really convince them at a time where they're like teetering on not bringing games over anymore. Like we got comfortable with the idea that we were going to get everything. Now we're not so comfortable with that idea anymore. How do we convince them? Let's make sure that Fable gets as much coverage as possible on PlayStation. Let's make sure to saturate the PlayStation Store with Fable. Let's make sure that everyone gets a little ad on their cross-media bar for it. I would be doing that. I'd be like, let's make them really think. And it's the same thing with Halo. Mm-hmm. There's some, we'll talk about Halo later, but there's some indication that Halo is doing soft on PlayStation, but I'm like, it's the best-selling game on PlayStation right now. I don't know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. We'll
see. I mean, maybe it is soft. It is the summer. There's nothing to really play for a lot of people. But anyway. All right. So there's that. God of War Laufey, Gleaming the Cube, comes to PlayStation 5 on February 16th, 2027. I'm sure we will all be playing it at that time. There's also information here from a reliable insider, Nate the Hate. I hate that name, ironically.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, reliable, knows a lot of things, obviously well connected. We've cited him in the past. He tweeted out that someone tweeted at him asking about Intergalactic, and he responded about the release date that the intended target is 2027 for this game. What do we think of the possibility of playing this game? Maybe, I mean, so The Last of Us came out in June. Mm-hmm. And that is kind of that would be an interesting time to release it. Again, at the end of the first quarter. Mm-hmm. So you get that benefit. You could put it in the fall. I don't know if so games like Uncharted 3 came out in the fall. I don't know if you want to compete like that. You don't have to. So I'm thinking like June or August or September, something like that, are like the obvious months to place it where it just dominates. It's just, It's the game, as opposed to putting it in October, November, where it's going to be dealing with the sports games and Call of Duty, and maybe there's Battlefield shit or some other shit going on, and it's just distracting. So, and hey, Chris, I mean, outside chance, let's assume PS6 is fall 27, although maybe it'll be spring 28. Could be a launch game. And by the way, I'm not saying that it's going to be only on PS6. Right, exactly. But like, that would be kind of cool if they were like, yeah, actually, it'll be a PS6 launch game and you can play it there, but you can play it on PS5 and it doesn't really matter. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very possible. I think September is probably like a sweet spot. Gives them enough time, and it also like it's like right in that where they have the whole summer to work on it, and it's not in that really hyper competitive window. I mean, I could, yeah, I mean, I could see that. When was the last time we saw Intergalactic? Was it last year?
Yeah, we haven't seen. I think we only saw it once.
Yeah,
we
only saw it once. I'm trying to remember. Was it the Game Awards, right?
Yeah.
Or no?
No. I thought it was at a. Let me see here. How is there such a huge Wikipedia for this already?
That's crazy.
Where? Development. Okay. The 2023. Focus on Intergalactic. I don't know.
Intergalactic.
Why can't I find
Why don't
it?
I remember? Heretic
When
Prophet.
was Intergalactic revealed?
1 year ago, PlayStation.
Oh no, it was announced at the Game Awards.
Yeah,
You're
TGA
right.
2024.
24.
So I mean, yeah, 4 to
You're absolutely
7. That's a good. Yeah, that seems about right to me. Given, and it's one thing about like, okay, so like 24 to 27. That's a 3 year, 4 year technically, cycle, and it wasn't like in pre-production. Like at that point, it's we had a game to see, or at least like a trailer. Like we knew what the game was going to be in some way, shape, or form. So I could see it hitting that target.
Yeah, I'm so interested to see it. I really want to. I'll be careful with what I say here, I guess. Well, I am curious to see if they can change the way people perceive it. And I think that only happens with blowing people away with the game itself. No more trailers, no more. I mean, you can show that stuff later, but like it's got to be. It's a hack and slash game, it looks like, right? Like,
yeah.
And so it's like, I mean, you just get that vibe. She's got a sword on her shoulder. I mean, it's like, what does a Naughty Dog game look like that plays like that? Like, I can't, like, I am truly intrigued by what they've done. And I want to see it. I want to see it for myself, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, and so, yeah, that's, I think the game's going to be great. Obviously, I'm a huge Naughty Dog fan, of course, and I'm biased in that way. But just from a perspective of just interest in the game scene and how things are made and the pressure on a game and everything, this is a really interesting product. Because it seems like there's a lot of people gunning for these guys for some reason. And so you have to overcome it. You have to be great. You have to be truly special, or it's not going to be sufficient.
Yeah, you can't do the God of War Laufey thing.
Oh no.
You can't do 20 minutes of gameplay and it's really like 5 minutes of gameplay with 15 minutes of cutscenes. I would argue you show no story at all.
Yeah,
or like minimally as possible. I would say you just like, listen, this is maybe like a mission setup or whatever for like a minute. And then I want to see what this game plays like. I don't even need like Unbroken. I don't even need like the 20 minutes on Unbroken. Like I even just a highlight, you know what I mean? Like a nice trailer that shows me like what am I going to be doing? What is special about this? That's all I really need out of it. I have no expectations of it either way. I expect that it's going to be good. I can't imagine that most, like, really, there's a lot of cynicism around in the games industry in general, but like I really do think most things that we play are just no less than good, really. Like most things are pretty good, that I've experienced anyway. They might not be to my taste or whatever. Like there's good games that I played where I'm like, I'm not really into this at all. But like the last offensively bad game I played, or like the last game that I thought was like, this is really not good. It's been a minute. So I don't expect that from Naughty Dog, really.
Yeah, no, not at all. Mind's Eye was probably the last game I played where I was like,
yeah, that's right. That was pretty recent.
What is going on here with this game? But it's interesting to think about. This is a weird way of saying it, but like who knows what. So what I mean by that is Naughty Dog knows that it has to release something really impressive. We know that Naughty Dog knows that they have to release something impressive. And so like what comes out of that? Because like they literally will I want to be clear. I'm not saying anything's happening. I'm saying they would literally cancel this game before they release something that like wasn't up to snuff, you would imagine. Right? No matter what it took. Like even if it was like more years, more money.
Yeah.
So out of that massive level of pressure, I mean, not to be too on the nose, but it's like a diamond could come out of something like that.
Yeah.
It's like, but the problem with Naughty Dog, and it's only a few studios that really are going to deal with this. I think CD Projekt actually is probably going to deal with this after Witcher and Cyberpunk, is like, you can't necessarily keep this up. Like, it might not really be possible. At some point, it becomes subjective matters of taste, and you lose that level of prestige. It's going to be very difficult for these studios to last in this space of incredible expectation. And every time you hit it and buy yourself another 5 years is probably like a huge victory for you on the inside. So I guess what I'm saying is like, this is a unique game from that perspective, in that it is coming from one of those studios that oddly has to prove it again. And it's just like CD Projekt with Cyberpunk. Now, a different sort of situation, because Cyberpunk was totally fucked up, but like, everyone will look a little bit skeptically at. And I actually think the CEO of CD Projekt had said that recently, where I'm pretty sure, correct me, well, if anyone out there can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he said something along the lines of recently, like, we understand why people are upset. Like, we did, we haven't really recovered. We've done like the best we could. And it's like, yeah, that's a tough situation. But anyway, getting off the topic. Colin blowing out the Frog Log memorial candle wrote in and said, hey, gents, with the Laufey release date revealed and an assumed mid-late 2027 release for Intergalactic, it made me wonder, where the hell is Uncharted 5? Upon re-examining the teaser, is there any chance it was actually a teaser for Untold Dawn 2, given its tropical setting? Hopefully not, else I'll hang myself and listen. I don't think that was Untold Dawn 2, no. But it is a nice theory. Yeah, that could be. Yeah. Where is Uncharted? My theory is that is the game that Neil is producing. And I feel like Uncharted could pop up at any time. And I don't mean the game coming out. It's just like, you wouldn't be surprised if a trailer just showed up one day at a Game Awards or something for it. I mean, I'm not going to let go of the fact that I think this game has been in development. Where and how and who's making it and to what end, I don't know. But I just feel like you can't let Uncharted go. And with cross media synergies being what they are, I think that The Last of Us benefited an enormous amount from the HBO show. Yeah. Like a huge amount. Many millions of copies of both games sold because of it. I think they realize with Uncharted, and there's going to be an Uncharted 2 movie, I believe. Like, you don't necessarily want to have a movie tie-in game. You just want to have something to take advantage of it with. And it would be kind of a shame to not have something ready to go. I mean, that was what they were trying to line up with Twisted Metal, and I get it. And you want to do those things. So just from that perspective alone, I think it makes a lot of sense to have one going. All right, Chris, Marvel Tokon is going, or at least it was going in the open beta. It's closed now, but there were major problems for it on PC. Did you see any of this at all? People were having a lot of difficulty with it on PC. It seemed like it worked fine on PlayStation, but as the game is right around the corner, coming out August 6th, the developers over at Arc System Works, and I assume Sony as publisher and intermediary, revealed on their social media feeds that, and I think this is a pretty interesting letter. They write, quote, Tokon Warriors, what a weekend. Thank you to everyone who jumped into the open beta and joined the fight. This is exactly why we run these, to get the game in your hands and find what we can make much better before launch. To our PC players, message received. The team is already hard at work on the performance you deserve, with improvements lined up for day one. Reducing overall CPU usage to improve performance, fixing frame rate drops and lag, resolving an issue causing unnecessary shader compilation at startup, improving compatibility when streaming with OBS and Discord, addressing rollback netcode and crossplay issues. We are also working on fixes for a number of other reported issues. So again, the game is just around the corner. I actually got a note from Sony PR telling me what the deal is with getting codes, and I told them I'm not interested in the code. I'm not going to play the game, and I don't want early access anyway, but trying to get codes for Chris and Dustin and Brad. So hopefully we'll have some sort of coverage on it. I've also been talking a little bit behind the scenes to Vince Ingenito, my old friend at IGN, who's an expert in fighting games. We'll do a Tokon centric episode in August for sure. So look forward to that. Did you get in? Did you try the beta at all? I actually didn't. I think Dagan might have played it, but I don't think I have talked to him. What did you think if you played it?
No, yeah, I didn't even see. I've been kind of locked in on like very specific games over the last couple. Well,
that makes sense with Halo out, especially.
Yeah. So I didn't get around to I did not get around to playing it. I'm curious about it, man. Like it does look like, from what I've seen about it, it does. There's a Marvel vs. Capcom kind of look to it that I'm kind of excited about. But yeah, no, I didn't take part in the test. I don't know anybody who did, unless maybe they have no reason to tell me. I guess I'm not like the person who's like, hey, let me know if you're ever participating in PlayStation beta tests. People don't think to text me or anything. But I think, yeah, I'm really curious about it. I'm looking forward to it.
KY's Life wrote in to this point and said, Colin, you said on Sacred Streaming that you don't play fighting games. I don't either, but the Marvel Tokon beta was free and fun to me, similar to the old Marvel vs. Capcom games. Mm-hmm. Why aren't you compelled to even try it, especially considering that PlayStation is publishing it? I don't care who's publishing it. I don't play Gran Turismo. I don't play MLB The Show. I don't care about who's publishing the game. But
yeah.
I really like fighting games. I think they're super unique and interesting. It's funny in a way. This is kind of a simplistic way, and it can be reduced too much, but of looking at things. But fighting games are so uniquely video games. In other words, like The Last of Us can and was easily made into like a sequential TV show that like of the story of the game, and it's fun to play and be in it, but you're getting it. Fighting games there's something so visceral and instantaneous, and it's over in 2 minutes, it's over in a minute, it's over in 30 seconds. It's so growing up as a gamer, especially in the arcade era, in the 90s for me, and the SNES, and having an older brother who was obsessed with fighting games and obscure fighting games. I mean, Dagan's a fucking huge fighting game nerd. I grew up with them and I love those games. Street Fighter 2, all of the iterations of Street Fighter 2. I liked Mortal Kombat 1 and 2 and 3 when I was a kid. I don't really like Mortal Kombat anymore. A lot of the SNK stuff, which was Dagan's bread and butter, like Samurai Showdown. And, and even obscure shit like the Ranma Half fighting game and all. We had all sorts of things. But and then I got into Street Fighter Alpha and Marvel vs. Capcom and Street Fighter vs. X-Men and all the rest. But really by the turn of the century, the last fighting game I really was invested in was probably Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on Dreamcast. And Power Stone also on Dreamcast, which was a little bit different. But as I've noted many times, when I got into journalism and got over to IGN, I realized how bad I was at them. I thought I was actually pretty good, like a good fighting player, but I'm not. And it's not really fun to play if you're not, in my opinion, it's like playing chess. There's no purpose in casually playing chess. You're just going to stay bad at it, and you're just not going to have fun. You really got to put some time into it to like to beef yourself up and make yourself worthy of being able to like stay around and play and meaningful play. And if you're not going to do that, then where's the fun in it? You get the shit kicked out of you in those games. Like you really do. Like you get the shit kicked out of you if you don't know what you're doing. And to me, I don't find that fun. So it's just not for me anymore. But I appreciate it. And I like Evo and all those things, and I like watching it, and I love the excitement around it and all that. And I hope Tokon does great, but it's just not for me. And the whole, like, especially with PlayStation publishing and thing, I don't think you're accusing me of anything. I find that weird because, like, who cares?
Yeah.
That's not necessarily, a relevant thing for me. All right. I thought this was interesting. I just wanted to bring this up about Dragon Age, series we hold near and dear to our hearts here on Sacred Symbols. I have to close these windows. Here we go. This website, FRVR, is it Fervor?
I assume.
Well, anyway, they spoke with Mark Dara, who is the creator of Dragon Age.
Yeah.
And he had a few interesting things to say. So I guess they wrote these stories in a prelude to a podcast appearance he's going to do on one of their shows. So kind of like spinning out these things. When I was at IGN, I used to hate doing this shit. Like I would interview people and then I would be so excited, right? Because I'd be like, oh, we have this great interview. People are going to sit down and watch it. And then what they would make me do would be like, what's like the four most interesting things he said? Just write news stories about all those. And I'm like, so what was the purpose of doing this whole thing where we're just going to like spin out the stories? And it's like, it's to stop other people from spinning out the stories. It's so defensive. So I think they're doing something like that. But anyway, Dara said two things about Dragon Age that I thought were interesting. One about the idea of there being a new one, and one about a collection of Dragon Age games. And of course, he's not at EA anymore. But he said the following on the FRVR podcast as spun out, or Fervor podcast as said by, or as spun out by these guys. this is really interesting in terms of its candor. Quote, I think it was happening because of EA's complicated relationship to shipping games at all, he says. And this was in regards to the Veilguard, the fourth Dragon Age game, being so having such a struggle getting out the door and then not doing very well. So he says, quote, I think it was happening because of EA's complicated relationship to shipping games at all. Someone once described to me EA as a hedge fund with a video game hobby that it wished it didn't spend so much money on. And I think that remains true, which is pretty rough thing to say for your ex-employer. Following the worrying sales of Veilguard, Dara doesn't see anyone trying to get a new Dragon Age game off the ground. He says, quote, I have no concept of who would possibly pitch that at EA. EA owns a frightening number of IP that are dormant. What I've heard is if you go and decide you're going to make a game based on an IP, the instant you're about to start, suddenly like 3 different people who you think control it come out of the woodwork and essentially rip you apart and chew you up and spit you out, end quote. So in other words, he's saying that, people try to, probably for the security of their own jobs, are trying to create ownership over these things and really bog things down. And it is true that EA does own a shit ton of IP because, of course, they famously buy studios and close them down, or at least that's what they've done. He continues later, quote, the problem is I don't know who at BioWare would pitch a Dragon Age. And I thought that was a pretty interesting admission from him just in and of itself. You would assume it'd be someone at BioWare, but I guess it really is the ship of Theseus. So the other option, he continues, is somebody else within the EA organization decides they're going to pitch a Dragon Age. And what I expect would happen is if they try to do that, someone at BioWare would essentially become one of those people jumping under the vents to rip that person apart. I suspect that it wouldn't happen for a variety of reasons. So it sounds incredibly dysfunctional there. But there's this other interesting thing, which is about the idea of getting the collection of the original 3 games, which are the Dragon Age games that people really do like and appreciate if you're into them. So he explains in the podcast that he wanted to do something called the Champions Edition, which would be Origins, Dragon Age 2, and Dragon Age Inquisition. So he says, quote, I think what you want is a Champions Edition. That was always my plan. Like, we're going to do a Champions trilogy. We're going to kind of retroactively turn this thing into one of those 3 games with 3 different important figures. And we're going to group them in, collect them together into retroactively turning them into a trilogy. And he continues that the major problem, Chris, is that Mass Effect got its own trilogy re-release because it was on Unreal Engine, but Dragon Age was on the proprietary Aurora engine. And he says, quote, there is basically no one at BioWare anymore that understands the Aurora engine. There's basically no one outside of BioWare anymore that understands the Aurora engine. So unlike Mass Effect, which is Unreal, there are basically no companies that could help you, end quote. So Dragon Age would sell well. I think he talks about that a little bit in the podcast. It would certainly sell well if you re-release those games and maybe revive things, but not in the cards. We're not Dragon Age fans, but I did want to acknowledge that piece of news because it is a little bit unfortunate. Did you play any of the Dragon Age games? I don't recall.
I played a little, like a really little bit of Inquisition in the early Xbox One, PS4 generation, just because, there was really not much to play at that point in time. And I thought it was okay. I didn't really, it didn't grab me, but I'm also just generally not a fantasy guy. I like my sci-fi, I like my contemporary, I like my horror. But like, there's something about fantasy. It's like fantasy's got to be pretty unique to grab me, and Dragon Age just kind of was like, I'm sure it's great. Like, it never hit with me. Even Witcher didn't hit with me as to the degree that other things have. So it's like my taste for fantasy is just completely off.
Dara's an interesting guy because he started as a programmer, like on Baldur's Gate and shit like that.
Yeah.
And then he ended up as the executive producer of like all the Dragon Age games. And I think was even the original executive producer of the 4th one before, because that game was in development forever.
Yeah.
But he's an interesting guy. And I do feel bad for Dragon Age fans. I think Maddie's a Dragon Age fan. I only played Origins and I was really underwhelmed by it personally. But I also understand that it was not really meant to be played on a console. And that's where I was playing, especially on PS3, which was struggling a great deal with it at that time.
Yeah. That collection would be kind of a nightmare. Because it's that Aurora engine, and then Inquisition's on Frostbite, remember?
Right. Yeah.
They moved over to Frostbite for Inquisition. So like that would be a I guess it wouldn't be the most insane undertaking. I think the Master Chief Collection is like 11 engines or some shit like that. So it's like it wouldn't be the craziest thing, but like for Dragon Age, for an IP like Dragon Age, I would imagine like that'd be kind of a rough sell.
Yeah, on the other hand, it's like you're right, and yet on the other hand, with EA being so cash strapped simply because of the leverage buyout, you
think they would
you would think they would be
try.
turning over rocks, to like get anything.
Yeah.
But maybe not. I mean, maybe that's just a poor use of your resources. It's funny, man. That last Dragon Age game just kind of came and went like a fart.
Yeah, I would play a Dragon Age collection. Like if they were all in like one convenient package, I would try it out. Because it was a half-hearted attempt when I tried Inquisition. I was just kind of like, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that was.
But I never even tried Origins or 2. I know 2 is like kind of controversial. They got that out in like a year.
Yeah, they made it really quick, like really quickly. It's almost impossible to like think about some of the development cycles of some of these games. I think about that with New Vegas. Where I'm like, what? They made it in like less than 2 years. I think it's like, what? How is that possible to even do something like that? It's incredible.
It's so quaint. It's so quaint. It's so funny. Like I was watching like an interview with Cliff Bleszinski, like where he was talking to somebody about Gears. I think he was talking to Jimmy Fallon about Gears 3 or something. And he was like, Jimmy Fallon was like, how long does it take to make one of these? And it was like, oh, like you're looking at like 2.5 years for AAA. And I'm like, oh my God, can you imagine to be back in that time?
It would be in pre-production for 2.5 years.
I know. That was such a perfect amount of time at that time, dude. Like 2.5 years is the exact right amount of time to wait for something like that.
Yeah, because it gives the studio a few months off, and then they can deliver in 3 years to the date of the next game or whatever, which is
good stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
I miss it.
I totally agree. I'm gonna skip this one actually because I think we already talked about this. All right. A little unorganized with this week. I'm sorry about that. All right.
It's okay.
This next story, this has come up before, but I wanted to discuss it again just to kind of add it to the record one more time. IGN wrote about it. They say Square Enix dev Yoshi-P says Final Fantasy 6, 8, and 9 remakes would probably have to be released in 4 or 5, even 5 installments. I'm getting really frustrated about this conversation, but I want to get more into this. And obviously, I really love Naoki Yoshida. I mean, he's great, and obviously most well-known and beloved for Final Fantasy 14, but I love him for Final Fantasy 16, of course. They write here, at the Final Fantasy 14 Fan Festival in Berlin on Sunday, Final Fantasy 14 director, producer Naoki Yoshi-P Yoshida invited Final Fantasy 7 Remake series director Naoki Hamaguchi to the stage for a chat. Over the 75-minute Naoki's Room section, the two Final Fantasy devs discussed their motivations, upcoming Final Fantasy 7/14 crossover content, excuse me, and the future of the series. However, one comment may have quashed fans' hopes for Final Fantasy 6, Final Fantasy 8, or even Final Fantasy 9 ever getting the remake treatment. Especially weird since Final Fantasy 9 was getting the remake treatment. We have no idea what happened to that. The talk of remaking other Final Fantasy games came up when Hamaguchi named Final Fantasy 6 as a big influence on his life. Quote, Final Fantasy 6 is the reason I wanted to work in the games industry and it will always have a special place in my heart, end quote, he said. He added that whenever he mentions this in interviews, it inevitably sparks hopes and headlines that Hamaguchi will remake Final Fantasy 6, something that he always has had to deny. Yoshida added, quote, I understand fans' feelings, but please think about it. He then went on to explain why these remakes will be such a huge effort to develop and release. Quote, Final Fantasy 6 is an incredibly huge game, and the same goes for other titles like 8 and 9. Since Final Fantasy 7 Remake, I understand why people ask for these remakes, but if we did remake these other games, we would probably have to release them in 4 or 5 installments, end quote. I don't understand what they don't understand about what they did with Final Fantasy 7 and that it can't be replicated like that. And that no one is asking for that. No one wants that. The Final Fantasy 9 remake, that's the other thing is they're talking about it like they weren't remaking Final Fantasy 9 at some point, which is well understood that they were, and that something obviously has gone wrong. But no one wants Final Fantasy 6 to be remade like Final Fantasy 7.
Right.
I don't know why they think that. We don't need to see that. And the only reason Final Fantasy 7 remake earned a 3-game trilogy and was blown out like that was because it was so deeply changed, because that was part of the meta of the entire game. So you can't by nature of that replicate it without looking kind of lame too. Being like, it's Final Fantasy VI, but it's a little different. And to me, I'm like, no, I just think like when people say they want you to remake it, just do the 2D HD kind of style Final Fantasy VI remake or whatever. I don't know why they're making it seem like it's such a huge, heavy lift. I don't give a shit if they ever do it, by the way. In fact, I think it would be somewhat dangerous to do Final Fantasy VI again, but because it's my favorite and it's an amazing game. But it was kind of ballsy what they would do with 7. And if they did get away with that amazing level of artistic license, then doing something much closer to home and not reformed, but just made beautiful again, I think would be kind of cool and an obvious way to make money. But
yeah, I question this greatly, like because even like I've played through a fair bit. I've played through Final Fantasy VII Remake. I played through the overwhelming majority, I think, of Rebirth, and I can tell you right now, it's just like you could have cut a lot of this. Like I didn't need the little mini game where I'm like picking up the boxes and moving them so Cloud can be like, what is this? Like I don't think these need to be like many parts. I think you're just kind of stubbornly like adding shit that you don't really need to add. Like you could just make a straight even if you did it at the fidelity of Final Fantasy VII, I kind of don't think you would need multiple parts if you just focused on what the games actually were. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, I get the sense of like, because what is Final Fantasy VII Remake is like what, like the first third of the
I think
Final
they're
Fantasy?
like third basically. Yeah,
and it's like twice as long as the first game is, as the original game is. So it's just, and that's the entire game. So I'm like, I don't know if I really believe that when they say this shit, when it's like, oh, it would take we would need to make 5 AAA games just to capture the essence of Final Fantasy VI. I'm like, listen, I'm sure these are great games, but I think you're kind of overselling this a little bit. Well, like, what are we talking about?
You definitely are in that. Well, what's funny is they have an example of how this could work. I didn't play it, but I understand what it is in Dragon Quest 7, where Dragon Warrior 7 or Dragon Quest 7, the original, is way bigger than not only Final Fantasy VI, but a lot of other even modern JRPGs. That game is notoriously huge. And what they did when they remade it was they made it shorter, way shorter, apparently. And they tightened it up and it's one game. Now, I don't want you to cut a single inch off of Final Fantasy VI. The point is that Final Fantasy VI is not nearly as big as that game is, and they figured out how to do it, and they did it exactly the way people would want to do it, which is in this reformed kind of 2D HD or this more beautiful look. Final Fantasy VI is a really big game. It's really big. Shockingly so. It's got 2 huge halves, and I totally get what they mean, but I think they're overthinking it because they're getting lost again in like the idea of Final Fantasy VII requiring this sort of meta remake where...
Right.
And it didn't require that. That's what they did, and it really worked, and it's a huge game, but you shouldn't do that again. You should never even dream of doing that again because you're not going to get away with doing it again. You threaded the needle so perfectly. Why would you ever want to fuck with that again? Don't lose sight of what people are really asking you for when people are requesting these games. Then again, leave them alone for all I care. I'm not clamoring. Final Fantasy VI is one of my favorite games of all time, and I am not clamoring for a remake of it. I would be very excited about it. I would be very critical of it if it's not good. And that's obviously the risk you run. But I think they absolutely fucking... I mean, we don't know how it's going to end, but Final Fantasy VII Remake is exceptional, in my opinion. Where I'm like, this is awesome. This is so awesome, dude. And Rebirth was awesome. I loved it. Just think they're doing an amazing job. And just the playing with your expectations and the subtle tweaks in the story. If you're a fan of that game... And that's why I get so frustrated when people just play it, like raw dog it and don't. And I'm like, no, it's not even me calling you a tourist or something. It's me saying like, no, you really should.
It's part of it. Yeah.
You really shouldn't do what you're doing. You really should play the original.
Because it's a sequel, basically.
Right. It essentially is.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah. It's like the many worlds interpretation of events.
Right.
All right. Chris, this one's for you. Crazy Taxi World Tour is getting a closed network test. And you can, I think, sign up soon. Yeah. So you go to the website, which is sega.com/crazy-taxi, and then just click around. And you can apply for the closed network test on any platform you want, including PlayStation 5. It's also available on Xbox Series X and S and on Steam. The following countries can participate: the US, Canada, Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, United Kingdom, Germany, France, Spain, Italy, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, bold for you to call Taiwan a country, Sega, India, Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, and Hong Kong. Unfortunately, we will not be able to accept all applicants into this test. The test begins August 31st. Are you interested in getting involved? I know we're both very excited about this game. I just never do this kind of thing, so I'm not going to do it here. But
yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to do it, and then I saw that you needed a Sega account, and I'm just like, I'm all right.
We're going to get into that in a little while with Halo too.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have some time to decide. The sign-up period is July 28th to August 31st. And it will be available in English and Japanese only. The test actually runs from the 11th to, September 11th to September 13th. September 12th to September 14th. Oh, so that's the same time. It's UTC versus Pacific time, I see. So time to get into it if you want. Go check it out at Sega's website if you're interested in signing up.
Yeah, you could celebrate 9/11 with a nice bout of Crazy Taxi.
Yeah.
Really good. It's a good time.
Celebrate the 25th anniversary of 9/11 with the Crazy Taxi close test. 2 maps, 6 cars, 4 characters, various car tune-up options. I'm looking forward to this game very much.
Yeah, I want more. I don't know. Maybe this is a bit selfish. I want more journalism done about this because I still want answers regarding their AI thing.
Oh, right, right.
Because I do like. I don't think any. To be fair, I don't think they've been giving any interviews of any consequence. But like, that kind of needs to be. I'm excited about it. I love Crazy Taxi with all my heart. But I would like some clarity. I would like to, and it's really just transparency. I want to know exactly what was done. You know what I mean? I want to know how it is the game AI generated in some capacity? Are there assets that are was it concept art? You know what I mean? Like, I just want to know. Because that is important, I think. But I'm looking forward to Crazy Taxi, man. I just love that soundscape and that style of game. It's just so inherently nostalgic to me.
Crazy
Taxi.
Good impression. All right. Bad news from Games Industry Up-Biz that I wanted to share. They write, new data suggests layoffs will affect 14,259 people by the end of 2026, up 78% from first forecast of the year. So they continue, quote, new data from the ASGC Games Industry Layoff Tracker predicts job losses will reach 14,259 by the end of 2026, representing a 78% increase over an initial forecast for the year. In January, ASGC projected 8,025 layoffs would take place in 2026. This figure has already risen to 9,781 as of this update on July 26th. The person who, I forgot, we actually talked about this guy. Remember this guy was at the Game Awards and people were really critical of him. Remember Amir Satvat? I think this is the guy. He worked for Tencent,
yeah.
But he was doing this tracker and people were kind of like, I think they were conflicted a little bit. But he said, quote, the pace of layoffs is accelerating faster than our models initially predicted. Not good. Europe and North America represent 95% of all layoffs. North America accounts for 66% of layoffs and 79% of affected workers. Europe accounts for the other 30%. Bad news. I don't know how. Now, it's worth noting that the layoffs, this is a layoff tracker, but doesn't count net worker numbers, if that makes sense. So, in other words, some of these people will find their way back in.
Sure.
But it's not looking good out there, man. And the major, Jaffe and I were talking about this a lot, but the major question is like really what happens to the American game development scene? Because there are a lot of really great studios here. It's just, and they make great games, and some of them will always make great games. Some of them will exist forever. They will. But it's going to be really onerously expensive to compete at this point. When you're making games of like Resident Evil for like $50 million, which would cost a Sony studio in California, no joke, $300 or $400 million. That's like not an exaggeration by any stretch of the imagination. So
yeah,
how do you compete when you're all selling on a global market to the same customers? It's bad. It's bad, dude. Like, I know that there are different rules. Europe has really good pro worker rules as well, but they're still having a lot of layoffs. But I know that in Japan, for instance, like it's a little different laying people off there. And that's fine, but the reality is that they're benefiting from this global situation where they're making their games for a fraction of the cost and then selling them to us. It's the same thing if you're in Eastern Europe. It's the same thing even if you're in the Middle East. It's certainly the same thing if you're in China, South Korea, India, if you're in South America, even if you're in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not feeling good about it. I don't think we need American games per se, because it's like, what does that really mean? But I think we want to have a vibrant game development scene. I really feel like a lot of it is going to ultimately come down to probably these distributed teams that are either supported by overseas talent or like if I were one of these teams, I'd be like, we really need to do away with our footprint. Like, let's get rid of our fixed costs and give ourselves more leeway to like stay alive. Everyone work from home. Kind of thing. But
yeah,
a lot of people think that that's just not an effective way to make games. Some studios like Moon have always made games like that, but other studios really want to be in person. I don't know, dude. And a lot of that, by the way, though, a lot of the in-person stuff, it should be noted, a lot of that is security.
Mm-hmm.
So like people are like, dicking around with these modules all the time, sending builds back and forth and all these things. That's how everything with Grand Theft Auto got leaked. It was through like Discord and everything. Yep. You don't want people fucking around with that kind of stuff. I understand that too. I don't know if you have anything you want to add, but I feel like we got to have our eyes wide open. This is going to be,
it's bad
for America.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I don't know, man. I think that's kind of it. Really. I mean, like this ain't slowing down. And I really just, to the degree that any of this can bounce back, it's like, well, how does it bounce back really? I think the future is probably going to be, it's going to be overseas. It's going to be game studios popping up in emerging markets, probably. Japan will be healthy. Eastern Europe will probably remain fairly healthy. But I don't know. In America, it's probably just going to be all indies. I would imagine.
Yeah, or the behemoth studios that like can justify themselves still. But even then, it's if you own Sucker Punch made Yote for really cheap. I mean, I guess if you want to talk more about like Naughty Dog and Intergalactic and how that's no doubt hundreds of millions of dollars, I would assume. I mean, there can be no doubt about that. Didn't The Last of Us Part 2 cost $250 million or so? It's like, how did this cost less than that? It's no way. It probably cost way more.
224, right? I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it's crazy.
I look at that and I'm like, okay, well, you made your money back. No doubt. Like your game was huge, but you even have to look at it from their perspective and be like, why would we make games here? You really have to look at it that way. It is so expensive to make games here. And you look at things like Resident Evil, or even, I think Pragmata is an even more stark example because that game was in development for so long and they obviously restarted it at some point and it cost them probably by their standards a lot of money, but they got it out the door. Like that's the kind of game that would have probably been canceled because they've been like, we can't spend more money. We already spent it's like we spent $100 million on this fucking thing already. Like and we have to do it all over again. When you're paying your people literally $28,000 a year, which is a normal salary at the low rungs of a game studio in Japan, which is unheard of in the United States and reasonably so. You're just dealing with different. This is the downside of globalization, and unfortunately with digital stuff, you could, but you really can't do anything about it. It's not like a tchotchke. It's not a screw factory, or you know what I mean? Like it's IP and creativity, and it's all these moving parts, and it's just going to gravitate towards what's cheapest. Now, all economies gravitate towards what's cheapest, but at least we can try to control that, and we do in a way. We talked about tariffs and stuff like that in the past, but with this kind of thing, it's what I remember Trump bringing up, like this idea of tariffing even movies and stuff like that. And it's unclear whether you could even do that. Like, what would that look like and stuff? It's just different. So you have to compete. And since you can't compete, maybe you just have to accept what it is. Unfortunately, I don't know, man. I'm sad about it because I feel like we have a huge, we're American and we have a massive American audience, and I don't want to dissuade people from trying to get involved in these spaces, but it's onerous and dangerous if you're not in a place that really can ride for a while. and justify themselves. It's going to be dangerous out there, and these numbers are bad. And I want to know where it all nets, and I think that's kind of unknowable. You would have to do like real deep analysis on that, and even then you wouldn't have the right numbers. But like you would have to figure out like what everyone's head counts were, some cross-referencing of LinkedIn or something, and it would be this. But it's like, is it negative 5,000? Like, what is it? Because that really is the number that matters the most. People shuffling around is not ideal, but like when they all sit down when the music stops, how many of them have no chair? And then we'll have a better idea. Because if it's something like 5,000, it's like, okay, that's like, what is that? That's like 15 Naughty Dogs. That's so many people that are just out, never to get back in. Not only for their own economic sanity and their own professional direction and all the rest, but just for us as an industry, we lost them. Anyway.
Yeah.
Chris, new PS Plus games for August, announced these games will be available beginning August 4th. And these are for everyone on PlayStation Plus at the Essential tier. So that is everyone. So of course, if you're at Extra or Premium, you get these as well. These games are part of your subscription, so download them for free if you'd like as part of your subscription. They'll be available from August 4th to August 31st. The big game here is Dying Light 2 Stay Human Reloaded Edition. Dying Light 2, I never beat. There was something weird about it. It's a game I've always wanted to go back to, and what's funny is that I actually played Dying Light the Beast and did beat that, which apparently is somewhat of a reaction to Dying Light 2 and some of the things people didn't like about it, which I think is why it worked. It wasn't great, but it didn't recapture the magic of the original Dying Light. Maybe that's not possible. But that's part of the available slate of games. The cooperative multiplayer adventure teamwork game, so Friend Slop, I'd assume you would refer to this, Big Walk is available. And then finally, Signalis, which is I think a puzzle-driven like horror game, but I could be wrong about that.
Yeah.
And then August 6th, PlayStation Plus members will get a Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls PlayStation Plus pack, including 5 avatars and a set of in-game results screen character poses. Oh, very exciting. Anything in here for you this week? Or this month, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to try Dying Light 2 again. It didn't grab me when I first played it, but I also was kind of playing it under weird circumstances. Like I owned it, but I was kind of not home. I was in a different state, like visiting. So I was like kind of playing it like not in my ideal environment. So like that, I am curious about Big Walk. I'm fairly certain Big Walk is releasing into PS Plus.
Oh, is it? Let's see.
Yeah, it's because it's coming out. Because I was wondering, because I had my eye on this game and I was like, I didn't realize it was
you're right.
already.
Yeah, you're right. It is.
It's coming out on August 4th, but it's coming to PS Plus, so that's kind of interesting.
That's strange, yeah, for a PS Plus Essential game. That's strange.
Yeah, fascinating. But like that I've been curious about that one for a while. It looks interesting and cute. Signalis I've heard a lot about. I just don't. But at the same, I've heard a lot about Signalis, but I don't know anything about it at the same time.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. I did see this game back in the day. It came out in 2022. It looks cool, actually.
Yeah,
I think I might have to check this out as well. So yeah, I'll add that to my list. But yeah, some good games for people to investigate if they're interested.
Yeah.
A few other quick things we can touch on. Just wanted to acknowledge that Gran Turismo is getting. I feel bad that we don't talk more about Gran Turismo. It's a big PlayStation IP. Just none of us really play racing games. So I saw this news pop up and I thought I would add it to the record as well. Moza Racing, Moza, becomes an official partner of the Gran Turismo World Series. This is a peripheral manufacturer, and they make sim racing hardware, founded back in 2012 by a bunch of engineers, whatever. You can read the letter on Gran Turismo's website, gran-turismo.com. But they announced that they are making a Gran Turismo wheel. And that's pretty interesting, I guess. Native support for Gran Turismo 7 on this wheel. Nothing else to really say about it, but I feel like we just don't talk about this game. And
yeah,
what's funny is that the last time we talked about it, Chris, you might recall, we were noting that like it's getting bigger, which is weird.
What do you mean?
Like Gran Turismo 7 is actually gaining monthly active users.
Oh, right.
So there's like something about it. And it was one of those games, remember, during the PC release era, which wasn't that long ago, everyone was always kind of a little flummoxed why they weren't releasing it on PC, because there's such a huge racing scene on PC if you know where to look, iRacing and all those other games. But and of course Forza Horizon, which is a little different. It's a little more arcadey, but those games are present there. So anyway, I feel like we don't talk about the series very much, and I just wanted to say something about it. So new GT wheel coming.
These guys are no joke, man. I'm visiting their website right now, and there's something called a haptic motion system. It's 4 actuators for $3,000. Fucking crazy. The racing community is no joke. I guess like they put down the money.
Yeah, this gear is crazy. Like,
I don't even know what the fucking actuator is.
Just got a car.
Yeah, what are you doing? It is. That's how I felt about sports games for the longest time.
It's so interesting. So yeah, they just sell the holder of the steering wheel. Like, I guess it's like some sort of engine that's like a rectangle, and then you attach it, and these things are like $1,000.
You build it yourself, I guess. It's like kind of like a PC,
yeah,
or you like mix and match parts or whatever. This is fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah, and so you know why this is a big deal? So I could have looked into this more. I just didn't. They've never been compatible with Gran Turismo. So if you look at the game, it's like Assetto Corsa, Dirt, the F1 games, Farming Simulator, interestingly, Forza Horizon, some kart games, Mud Runner, which is a good one, Project Cars, NASCAR Heat. So yeah, they've had like everything but them. So that's probably why it's a big deal. Yeah, man, this is I love this sort of boutique cottage industry shit that's going on around games. That's really always gone around games, but it's like those big trucker setups. It's like, dude, just go buy a fucking big rig and go drive your parcels. For Christ's sake. That's what you want to do with your life. Do it. All right. Capcom released their financials. I just wanted to acknowledge that Resident Evil has surpassed, let's see here. Where is it? Did they say? Well, it's in here somewhere. 8 million copies sold. Pragmata, though, 2.5 million copies sold. Game of the year. Congratulations to them. Also, Kingdom Come Salvation has been trademarked. People are assuming, this is in Europe, by the way. This comes from Gamatsu. People are assuming this will, of course, be the next Kingdom Come game. Safe assumption. Atari, according to Deadline.com, has signed a 10-movie deal with Universal and are trying to develop films. I got to sit down with someone over there. I mean, obviously, we're good friends with Jason Polanski, who's their executive producer. But like, Atari is really aggressive, right? Like in the last couple of years, just buying studios, releasing a bunch of games, doing a bunch of deals. I'm feeling it. It's especially interesting with the IP that they're making available for film because, and I'm sure they had nothing to do with it. It's like there's multiple versions of Atari, but you remember Atari sold a bunch of their IP.
Yeah.
Or I think actually lost it in bankruptcy hearings. So that's a shame, but they still own a lot of things. And finally, I wanted to bring this up. This is a weird one. This is making the rounds on PSN profiles right now. There's a game called Volcano Princess coming out. It's not important what it is. It's like some sort of creepy, weird Japanese simulator game. What's weird about it is that it has 235 bronze trophies, all in a single platinum list. This has never been seen before. And there's a lot of conversation going on for all right, so I'll explain this in a brief way for people that aren't into trophies. Everyone knows what achievement points are, right, on Xbox, and you get 1,000 points per game, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we know how those work out because you get 10 points for this and 50, and it tells you. Sony's system is based on a point system, but you don't see the points. So I think bronze is worth 20 points, silver's worth 40, I think gold's worth 60 or something, platinum's worth 200, like whatever it is. The number of bronze, silver, and gold trophies that you put into a game has to reach, I think, between 1,150 and 1,300 points. It could be somewhere in that. And then you're able to be certified, your list is certified. And you put a platinum trophy on it, it doesn't count. Everyone's within that list, that parameters of that list. This list is worth 3,825 points. And everyone's like, so I actually wrote on the PSN profiles forum because a lot of people are talking about it. I'm like, this can mean only one of four things, I think. Either this was a mistake like a certification mistake that they just got away with. They had a dispensation to do something like this, which is possible. You could have always done this and no one knew, which is possible, I guess. Or the rules changed. And it's really unclear what's going on there. So I am not saying anything else. This is not interesting to anyone that's not into trophies, but I just wanted to throw that out there that I don't really understand what's happening here. This is a very, because like if this is possible, this is a big deal. Like I was saying on the forum, like this could be the biggest thing that ever happened to trophies, and might actually be the shakeup it needs, because it basically indicates that studios could just kind of do whatever they want at this point. And if the trophies are worth getting and make the game more robust and interesting, I have actually no problem with it. So a boring thing for most people out there. In fact, the game comes out the day we're recording this. But I wanted to throw that out there. Nonetheless, it's making the rounds in trophy circles, and I thought people might find that interesting. No one knows how it's possible. Guess we'll find out soon enough.
This game, it seems insane, because I'm looking at some of the trophies, and one of them is called Wise Papa, and the thing is, become a reliable mentor and have a Papa is Wise score of greater than 25.
Yeah, there
Papa
it is. Yeah, Q Papa,
wise.
Righteous Papa. Yeah, I don't know.
Papa is brave. What is going on, bro? Interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's just a weird thing. Like it's, I don't know how it's possible. Very strange. Chris, it's time to get into what we're playing.
Mm-hmm.
We're playing Halo, so we'll get to that shortly. I'll just go really quickly here and say I'm playing two other things, or was playing two other things. So I did the Powerwash. I was in the Powerwash Simulator 2 mode. Did all the Star Wars DLC. I had noted that actually the first expansion for Powerwash Simulator 2 had come out in the spring, and it was for Adventure Time, another IP I have no familiarity with whatsoever. So of course I naturally bought it. It was on sale on PlayStation for the summer sale or whatever. So it was like $6 or whatever. I'm almost done with it. I've done everything but one stage, and it's fine. I have no relation to the IP at all. Micah was into Adventure Time, so she's been explaining some things to me. But I missed that whole thing. Were you into that? I know what it is. Like I know what its aesthetic is, but
I never got that into it.
Like, what is even the date on it? Let's see. 2010 to 2018. So it's actually not quite as old as I thought it was. I thought it was like more like the mid-aughts. So there's that. And then I'm trying to, I guess, again, just bang things out in preparation for games that I wanted to be prepared for this fall. So I downloaded, and beat Onimusha 2 Samurai's Destiny, which is 2002 sequel to the 2001 original game. It's funny, like I didn't remember very much about it at first. I remember the first Onimusha really well, and I really enjoyed that game a lot. The second game is really fun to play, but I think it loses itself a little bit. And one of the things that it does, and this is where I was like, oh, I remember this. I remember how fucking annoying this was there are 4 other characters in the game that you can actually play as briefly, and they'll accompany you on these different missions. And it's cool in that there's basically this like butterfly effect sort of thing where your relationship with these different characters will affect who's with you and whatever. So you have to play the game through at least 4 times to see everything if you stick with each of these characters. But it's all determined by this gift system. So you find all these different various items, and then you have to like kind of assume based on the interests, each person's interest, if they'll like the gift or not. And it was actually apparently only recently with the release of the PC version last year that people actually broke open how the gift system really works. So now that there's a really fine way to get through the game and get what you want done, but it is a very tedious system. And I don't really know that it has any place in a game like Onimusha. It's a little weird. So because they add like, there's like a storefront, they added a lot of accoutrements to the game that I think kind of bloated it. The original Onimusha could be beaten in like 90 minutes. It's not a very long game. So I understand they wanted to have more to it than that. It is still very fun to play. Sword-based action combat, pre-rendered backgrounds, stiff camera angles, all the tropes of the time. It's fun. I don't want to spoil too much of it. I think it gets a little goofy too, though. So anyway, I played that. I was like, well, I get the platinum trophy, and I'm like, it's just too tedious. You have to beat the game 4 times, which is not really that big of a deal because when you know what you're doing, you just run through it and whatever. But I'm like, I don't want to do this. So I moved on to Halo Campaign Evolved.
Mm-hmm.
playing. Kellen Kessinger wrote in and said, "Hello, my dynamic duo. I'm about to fire up the Halo remake for the first time and thought I would share a little tidbit. Halo came out on November 15th, 2001. That was 2 days after my first birthday. Does that make me old? Horrifying. That was I hate knowing that. Chris, I'm very intrigued to hear what you think of Halo. You platinumed it, did you not?
I did platinum it somehow.
Now, did you do it straight up? Because I heard that there's a way to cheat.
Oh yeah,
I assume they'll patch it. But
that's exactly why I raced for it, because I was like, you're gonna patch this, and then like a bunch of people are gonna have this trophy, and then it's gonna mean nothing anyway. So like, ain't no fucking shot. So like, to be fair, there is a trophy for a legendary All Skulls on run, which, in my opinion, and I think in the opinion of most people who play Halo, should not be a trophy. It should not be an achievement. That should be something that like, you get like a special bit of armor or something.
Right.
Like an accoutrement. Like, it's such an obnoxious request that for that one I was like, nah, I'm using the second I saw that you could do it, I was like, I'm doing it this way.
Do you think they'll fix it, or do you think they'll just leave it?
I think they will fix it, because it's a weird bug. It's a very bizarre workaround.
Yeah, you have to like go to a checkpoint, right? And then like,
so how it works, and before I get deep into this, I do want to hear what you have to say about it first before I go into my deeper thoughts. But
yeah,
the way the workaround works is like, so the legendary All Skulls on, it's like, it's legendary difficulty, all the difficulty modifiers activated. There's a playlist for it. There's like a specific, it says play lasso, and then it'll take care of everything you need. But there's a setting in the normal campaigns where you can kind of set your own damage. You can kind of set your own modifiers, I guess, for like, if you want like a 4-year-old to play, you can up your health, and you can up your damage. You can make it bottomless clip. You can just customize your experience. So what you can do is you can play lasso with those difficulty modifiers all the way up, and then your health is max and your damage output is max, and you never have to reload. And it's not that it counts towards your lasso progress. It just allows you to play that progress with those modifiers on. But if you then take the modifiers off, then and then start the first level and collect the skull in the corner of the first room, it creates a checkpoint as if you've completed the level on Legendary All Skulls on. So I just did that for all of them, because I was like, this is an egregious. I respect lasso a lot. I think it's an awesome thing. It's crazy that people can do it, but to put a trophy behind it, I think is obnoxious. I think it's a crazy thing to do. That's so alienating, in my opinion. So but every other trophy I got legitimately, because I was just like, why not? But so I did 100% it, which is nice. It's my 9th platinum, I think.
Nice, good for you.
I think, and just to have a platinum trophy even just popping trophies in a Halo game was very surreal. But I do want to hear what you have to say about it first, because I have so much to say about it, and I don't want to poison the well. So. Yeah, how are you finding it?
Sure.
I don't know how far deep you're into it, but
I just did the library. Got through the library, so that's like what, halfway through? Maybe not even. I don't know. Something like that.
I would say, yeah, that's a little bit. You're right at the midpoint, basically, or like a little bit after.
All right, so I like Halo a lot, and I think that the things I like about it are things I still like about it. The things I don't like about it, I still don't like about it. And this is something you can really speak to a lot more authoritatively, where I was like, what is going on with these weapons? Like, there's so much in the game that I don't remember being in the game originally, like a huge selection of weapons. I actually went and looked at them. I'm like, what? When I picked up the energy sword or whatever, or the blade or whatever, I was like, this wasn't in the first game. And then, but I started reading about it, and I'm like, oh, I kind of like what they were trying to do here. They basically were like retconning the game and like giving it more continuity. Apparently, like there are certain enemy types that really weren't in the first game, and things that like really should have been there but weren't. I'm like, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I dig that. I think that the game looks and runs great on PS5 Pro. I've heard that it doesn't always run great on other hardware or whatever. And I will say that when I started fighting the Flood, the game's fucking 25 years old, whatever. When you start fighting the Flood in the library, the game did start like stuttering, where I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Where it like started degrading almost, like where I was like, is this part of the game? Like,
no,
like where it's like, it almost felt like it was, yeah, good.
They become like a slideshow kind of, right? It's not that the game's frame rate drops, it's that the animation frame rate for the characters on screen drops. It's
it looks like
odd.
everything was melting, kind of like because you're moving forward and the enemy and things show, but things are falling down the point of view, if that makes any sense. So
yeah.
when that was very weird, but generally speaking, it's the technical fidelity is fine. And it's funny how much I remember of the game, which is not a huge surprise. I mean, I played it for the first time in 2003, and then I most recently replayed it a few years ago on Master Chief Collection. So, and I was saying that on Twitter, that though it is so surreal to play it on PlayStation, it is a little less surreal just because I just played these games in my mind's eye, the original trilogy anyway. But I feel like actually the library stage really brings this out, in my opinion. Halo is just too big, in my opinion. I understand the spatial stuff, and I don't mean space. I mean like spatially on the maps is really great for vehicle combat, for multiplayer, for LAN. A lot of these places were made with those things in mind, I assume. But like there are parts of the game where I'm like, you're just going. And I'm like, where are we going? What are we like? Why am I doing this? Why are the environments so huge? And I do appreciate that they added a waypoint to the game, so you don't have to like, because sometimes you're like looking around like, where am I supposed to go? The fuck am I doing? Did I go this way already? Like, I remember having those problems with Halo. Now I'm not the smartest person in the world, obviously, with these games, but so I think that like a lot of those same problems still exist because it's still the same game with new trappings. But I really do enjoy the mystery of the first game. The humans have some beef with the Covenant. You don't really know what it is. There's this, and obviously you learn everything later, but the point is like going into it fresh, and I'm not a huge Halo fan, so I'm like, I don't really remember the details. So it's like the humans have this problem with the Covenant, and then there's this ring world, Halo, which is in and of, and I remember so well when I first played the game on Xbox back in the day. I bought it with my Xbox, and I loved just the background of the ring going up, and the topography of it, the weather structures, like it's so fucking cool, right? And then you find out that it's some sort of weapon. Then you find out that the Covenant are scared of something they found on Halo. Then you find out that it's the Flood. And I remember feeling this way originally too, is like watching everyone fight each other. Yeah. And there's that part where you first encounter the Flood and you're escaping, and you're basically just running through rooms of the Covenant and the Flood fighting. And you can get involved. But like I was like, this game is so there's so much cool shit about this game. And I do think again, I'm more of a layman, but from my perspective, I'm like, I like this. But I know that they've added a lot of things subtle and not so subtle that have affected the experience for a lot of people. Unreal Engine, obviously, I think makes everything look a little more vanilla. I think Halo already, and this is a personal opinion, already suffers a little bit from a design deficit in a visual design deficit in that sci-fi is so difficult to do. It's the Mass Effect thing where it's like everything's clean. Yeah. No lines, no seams. And I'm like, that's cool and that's good, but in Unreal Engine, it looks almost too good. Yeah. And there's something.
There's an uncanny.
It's something weird. It feels fake. I mean, obviously it's fake, but it feels like it's fake. And so there's that. And I don't know. I just think a lot of it is just open and just happening. The trappings of the game in terms of the story and what everyone's doing. And I love Master Chief and whatever. I think he's an interesting character. He's goofy looking. I was saying I remember making fun of him when you and I were talking about it last time, where it's like he looks like a 90s motocross dude. It's like he's so from that era. Yeah. When you look at him visually. But yeah, I've really enjoyed it. So yeah, I'm going to finish beating it. I'm playing it on normal. I'm not really looking for anything too deeply, but it's like I haven't found a single skull. I remember saying this with when I played Combat Evolved or right. Combat Evolved on Master Chief Collection, where I'm like, you really got to look for shit. And that's one of the things that I think this game does really well. And one of the things I love about third-person shooters that I think is an understated part of the boomer shooter culture, that I think Halo isn't a boomer shooter, but comes from that culture, which is shooter. What?
I interrupted you to correct you, like the audience wanted. You said third person.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
First person shooter. There's something about the boomer shooter secret stuff in stages. The Doom trilogy, the new Doom trilogy does this really well, where it reminds you that they used to make these geometries and then beg you to go find your way up and around and through them if you want. Obviously, there's a path around, and you feel like you're breaking the game, but you're not. Yeah. And I know that that's where the skulls are, because that's the boomer shooter essence that I think is that Halo is at that transition away from the old type of games. Like GoldenEye was one of the last boomer shooters, and that was a couple of years before. So I don't know. I really, really like it. And I like but one of the things I really love is the difference between the human weapons and the Covenant weapons. I love how the Flood uses both of them when they fight, which is cool. And I like that the little subtleties of the weapons. So human weapons use ammo, clips, but if you have like a plasma rifle, you can't do, like, you assume that they bring it to some room and like charge it. So you can't switch between them. So you're constantly roving between them. And just the difference in feel of them, the different weight. The lasers or the plasma weapons seem more powerful, but they seem like they have less heft. There's a lot of cool subtleties. And so I imagine myself just being in that situation and just grabbing whatever you have and constantly picking up weapons. And I just dig that. There's a sense of groundedness to it I really like. But anyway, I'm interested in what you have to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with a lot of the stuff you said. Like, I overall, I really like it. I think it's a really solid way to experience Halo for the first time if you've never played it. It's weird. I've played this game so many times. So there are things that bother me that aren't really wrong with it. It's just I have an affinity for like a certain, like the original delivery of certain lines like sticks out to me, where it's just like, oh, it's a little bit better, but like I think your average person's not going to notice it. There's a million little nitpicks I have. But ultimately I don't really have I think it's ultimately good. My only real 2 points of disappointment, I think the AI is a little wonky. Like it's strange. I don't know if this is to account for the fact that you can sprint now, or if it's to account for the fact that like you can have 4-player co-op or something, but I feel like elites are everywhere. there's encounters specifically in Truth and Reconciliation, and I played it on heroic first, and then I went to legendary. But like, you run into a room and there's like 10 elites, and I'm like, this is insane. Like this is too much. And I think they do that because the AI is a little bit dumber than Halo 1. So like I think like the elites don't dodge as much, and they don't rush you as much, and even the Flood doesn't sprint at you. Or maybe they do, but because you can sprint, it doesn't really matter. You can kind of get away from them a lot easier. It's still fun because Halo is ultimately, even a gimped version of Halo is still very, very fun, in my opinion. So like it doesn't really detract too much. Some of the cutscene direction is a little bit awkward. There's like long pauses and kind of when Johnson's first on screen, he like kind of stares at the camera and you're like, what this is a little.
There were a few awkward moments I noticed too, where I'm like, how did that get through? Like,
yeah, like it seems like it's a little wonky, I think. I don't think it's a bad game by any means, but like it kind of brings me up to my second point of disappointment, whereas it's like, I feel like if you were going to retouch the original Halo, I feel like they didn't do enough to change it. Like I would have wanted to see way more change. Like they changed the library completely, which I'm grateful for. That mission was a slog. And even in this version, it's still kind of repetitive, but they did a better job of like, there's puzzle rooms and stuff.
Right.
And so like, it's better. And I'm just like, man, I wish they would have done more of this throughout the entire game. You know, like I wanted to see a different version of the Silent Cartographer. I wanted to see a different version of the Pillar of Autumn. I wanted to see it. And they do it sometimes. Like there's a final level that they change a lot. The library change a lot. The first level where you find the Flood is really awesome. I think that like they did a great job atmospherically. And it's weird. It's kind of all. I don't know if it necessarily justifies its existence as a remake. It's not like a Resident Evil 2 Resident Evil 4, Dead Space. You know what I mean? It's not that, because it's not that transformative. Or it's not like it doesn't invalidate the original, which would have been cool to see personally. But I guess it's fine that it doesn't. I had a great time with it. I platinumed it. I like the way it feels. The shotgun in particular, I love the way the shotgun feels. Like it pulls back. Like the recoil on it's awesome. And it's satisfying to see the Flood fight and the way they look, and it's good. And the music's good, and it's hard to really talk about because any negative that I have is so inherently subjective. Outside of performance issues, like we talked about, the stuttering, I do think the cutscene direction is objectively wonky. I do think the AI is objectively dumber, but that's really it. And those aren't necessarily bad per se. They're just not as good. I think there's an argument to be made that this is a great way to play Halo for the first time, because there's all the accoutrements of like modern stuff. Like there's sprinting and there's aim down sights.
Yeah, I like the sprinting and aiming. I was going to say I like that they've added.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine.
Those kinds of things with, because like we talk about Doom and stuff where there's an argument to not do that in more kinetic games. You know.
Yeah,
but it's not quite that fast. So
no, it's. I think it's very good, and I like that they brought some Halo 2 and Halo 3 weapons and systems. Like you can hijack vehicles now.
Yeah, I mean that's something I even noted, and I'm not even like a huge fan of it. I'm like, these are not right. Like, I don't remember this, you know, which is cool.
But what I'm saying is like they did so much to the game systems, right? Like they brought weapons in, they brought like mechanics in. Like the plasma pistol didn't use to EMP vehicles when you fully charge them. That was in 3 and afterwards. But they brought it into 1, and it's like, this is cool. I like this. But also but the levels are exactly the same. Except for 1, which is massively transformed. And it's just like, well, I can sprint now. Shouldn't this layout be different? Like, shouldn't this be more transformative? And there's these weird things, like even the trophies, like when you beat Silent Cartographer, the trophy is called B30, which B30 is the code name for the original level when it was being drawn up, right?
Oh,
so
cool.
it's like, this we got to polish up B30. That implies a level of familiarity to the player that, like, if you assume I know what B30 is, why didn't you include the stuff that I'm very obviously aware of, which are like the cut wildlife that was supposed to be in the original campaign, the original Combat Evolved that had to be cut for time. It just kind of strikes me as a bit of a missed opportunity, I guess. It's a good reimagining of what Halo 1 already is, with some of the accoutrements of the future games that I think do make the game a little bit more dynamic and a little bit more fun. But I was kind of hoping for like a more from the ground up transformative kind of thing, because I think Halo 1 would benefit from that, and I think it would do a good job of showing us what they intend to do going forward. Because as much as fine as this game is and good as it is, knowing what I know now, like knowing that they don't have a project in development, you know what I mean? Knowing that there is no Halo around the corner, or like in a year or two, that they kind of have to start up from scratch, basically. This would have been a good stopgap between that, but now that I'm aware of that, I'm thinking like, well, what the fuck are we doing now? Because I don't really have a sense of what you're going to do going forward, because you've not really flexed your muscles here in the ways that I wanted to see. Now there's prequel missions which I don't think you've played yet.
No, they give you the option originally, but I was like, I'll do that later after I beat the game.
Sequentially, they come in last anyway.
Okay.
But those are kind of, they're fine. But dude, you want to talk about bad cutscenes? That's where they are, man. Like I think the worst cutscene I've ever seen in the entire franchise is in those prequel missions. Like, no,
I'll have to keep an eye out for that.
I think you'll know exactly what it is, I think. Because even to somebody who doesn't care, like they'll see this, like, what is this? Why is this happening? But yeah, it's imperfect. I think it's no less than good though, which is what I expected, because it's Halo at the end of the day, and Halo is just like on a formulaic level, just inherently well designed, and it's kind of hard to fuck it up.
I am. It's what you touch on something so interesting, which is like I don't know why they don't have a grasp on Halo.
Very odd.
You would think that would be the most important thing you would do as a first party. I mean, since Xbox made a decision a long time ago that they were just going to, and I don't think there's anything really wrong with it if this is the decision you make, but like they're going to kind of stick with the same shit. Halo, Forza, Gears, etc. And if that's the case, then you got to treat them with great care. In other words, they made the decision that they made, and then they're like, and we're also going to not do anything fun with it. And I'm like, but Halo should be your North Star.
It should be.
Yeah, like if that really is the defining Xbox game and Xbox series, and it is, then everything should be so deliberate and so well thought out. It's kind of like the confusion I think a lot of people feel with Star Wars and Disney. It's like, how did you botch this so bad? This is like the biggest thing you have. Well, what are you doing?
It's weird. It's weird, and it is unfortunate too, because like I do think there is like an element of like pressure. I really don't think there is a single bad Halo game, honestly. Like there's ones that I really don't like, but like it's never been less than good. And I do think, but that original run was so good that like it's a level of like anything that doesn't meet the quality of like really fucking good might as well be garbage. And I do think there's an element of that, like where there's people beating this game up a lot in ways that I think is a bit, but like I don't know about that. Like it's very fun. It's a very good way to experience Halo, I think. But there are issues where just like I'm sure like you noticed the stilted cutscenes, which is crazy because in Halo 2 Anniversary, like they were so good. Why didn't you just get Blur to do it again?
Right.
Like why did you do because I know you did it in house. I can tell. Because there's motion captures on the grunts that look fucking weird as hell, and I'm like, it looks like Food Fight, that Charlie Sheen mocap movie from like the late 90s, early 2000s, where I'm like, this is not as final as it should be for what this IP means for your brand. Like you need, and I understand, by the way, I know that they put this out now to avoid GTA 6. I know it.
Yeah, yeah. In other words, there's no time to sit on it.
Yeah, they were like, we can't wait. We got to put it out now because we can't put it out on November 15th is the
anniversary.
The anniversary. That's where I am sure they wanted to put it. And then where's GTA 6 now?
Oh, November 13, something like that, I think.
Yeah, it would be fucking obliterated. So they made a call and they were like, okay,
19.
let's get
Sorry,
it.
19.
Still, so they made a call. They brought it forward. It needed a bit more time, I think. It's not catastrophically fucked, but it needed a little bit. You could tell, like in some areas, like the stuttering.
Yeah, I could definitely see that too. You had noted the AI. Like the AI does seem a little weak. Like sometimes the AI is doing weird shit too. Like not even not being aggressive or whatever, but just doing weird things. Where like shooting into corners and doing. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, they're not.
I didn't. Yeah, just things that they could probably clean up. With a few more passes, a couple more months.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate because I do think like I get it, but like I think CE is important. That's like historically, I think it deserves a little bit more love and care than this. And to see it rushed out like that is kind of, I don't know, it's a little disappointing, especially when there's nothing around the corner that you could imagine was subsuming. Like it would be one thing if they had like a main project in the works and it was just like they couldn't donate. You know what I mean? Like they had resources that were primarily on that. And it's like, okay, you still shouldn't do it, but at least I get it. But now I know it's like, oh, there's nothing. And it's like, well, so is it going to be 5 more years now for another Halo game? And then there's no PvP in this, so it's kind of half Halo CE.
I wonder.
All of it.
I was thinking about that, Chris. I wonder if they're going to add it. And like,
I don't think so.
Maybe it wasn't the initial idea, and maybe it's not even possible. But at the same time, knowing that there's such a gap, or seemingly such a gap between Halo products, it's like, well, we have nothing else to do. It's just surprising. I'm just surprised by how badly they've botched their handling of it. And the unfortunate thing about it, if people think that this is an imperfect remake, it's the second remake, isn't it? Of Halo?
Well, technically it's the only remake because the Anniversary is like they touch the visuals up, but it's the same game running underneath it. Like because you can do the graphics toggle. It's kind of like didn't Final Fantasy Tactics kind of do the same thing?
Yes.
Did they have a toggle?
Yes. Yeah,
or something like that. So it's the lines are blurry. I don't really know what you would call that.
So
a remake, I think, is like Dead Space, Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 2.
Sure.
This version of Combat Evolved. That was more like I don't even know. Like, it's not remaster. I guess remaster is like the best way to put it, really. They had remade cutscenes by Blur for Halo 2.
Right.
But
right. So I say that only because, and I guess it doesn't really matter one way or the other, but it's just like you kind of used your opportunity to remake it. So it really needed to be, you can't do it again. So
no,
yeah,
you can't do it again. And also, like, if the rumors are correct, this is only the first remake of the original trilogy. So you're gonna remake Halo 2 now. And if this is the quality bar that you're going to set for Halo 2, is like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Halo 1 you could kind of get away with, because Halo 1 is kind of, it's a little busted. It's finicky. It's kind of awkward. It's in this weird area of space where it could use some touch ups and you wouldn't lose much necessarily. Some people would argue that you'd lose a lot, but like, I think generally speaking, most people are going to play this and they're going to be like, this was fun. Halo 2 is going to be like, you're in direct competition at that point with handmade cutscenes by Blur, one of the biggest, like, well-renowned, CGI houses in the world. Halo 2 Anniversary, which is already like a well-regarded polish, repaint, whatever you want to call it, with all the multiplayer intact, by the way. So, like, I don't know. Like, I think it's kind of all downhill from here if they're trying to remake the rest of the trilogy. Like, you're kind of fucked, I think. Good luck to you. And I hope you nail it. It gives me no pleasure to, it would break my heart to see Halo 2 come out and it's fucked. Like, that would be so sad for me. But I just don't know how you outdo that original game. And then also what you did in 2014 with the anniversary edition. Like, I don't know. They're setting themselves up for failure, I think, for no reason.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I am interested in this idea that, because I can see it going both ways, where like Xbox is reestablishing some exclusivity and you might want to take Halo back. But I'm like, Halo 2 is a multiplayer game. Like at its heart, it's not like Halo 1 is a LAN game.
Yeah.
This was a native Xbox Live game, and I think it's coming to PlayStation. But I think we'll have years to wait, and I don't think we're gonna have to worry about that anytime soon. And of course, the entire situation will be totally different by the time it even is ready to come out. So,
yeah.
But Anthony Rodriguez wrote in about one thing that I wanted to bring up that I did have a problem with. It's not a huge deal, but I understand why some people would be annoyed by it. He says, "Hey, fellas, I need to rant a little about Halo Campaign Evolved. It was no secret from the jump that you would likely need an Xbox account to access the co-op features for the game. What I did not expect was that if you don't link your Xbox account, you can't access the game in any capacity. Unfortunately for me, this became an issue when, despite in fact having an Xbox account made in case I ever needed it for something like this, the linking kept failing and I kept receiving error messages saying the login failed. For almost an hour, I tried doing everything I could just to get it to work, trying different sign-in methods and even resetting my PS5's internet connection. Only when I made a burner Gmail account, which allowed me to make a second Xbox account, could I finally access the game. And at that point, I was so furious I barely was able to have any fun at all playing with my friends. Then to make things worse, the game is full of dog shit bugs and glitches that only added to my anger. How could this be? Requiring online connection for a single-player campaign is ludicrous. If I wasn't able to play co-op due to linking issues, they would have sucked, but then I could have at least played the game offline solo. I've only ever had PlayStation, but was always jealous of Xbox having Halo, so this game was something I was truly hyped for, only for it to be marred by some nonsense. Have you guys had any issues with glitches and bugs problems playing with people online? I'm curious because my experience was basically ruined before I could even get to the main menu." I was surprised by, I didn't have all those experiences you did, Anthony, but I was surprised that you have to log in with a gamer tag.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And I was like, now, part of me likes the pettiness. It's like, this is, in one way, it's like, yeah, this is are you guys really going to stop here? Here it is. All we want you to do is make a fucking gamer tag, right? And you probably already have one. I do. You do. Like,
yeah.
So from that perspective, I'm like, it's not the end of the world. But on the other hand, I'm like, why are you making me do this for the single player game? I'm totally with what Anthony said. If there was a thing where it's like, ask you to make an account, you circle out. It's like when Ubisoft asks you to make an account, you circle out, go into the blah, blah, blah. If you want to try to make an account later. Okay. X. Then it says, the pop-up says like, you must link a Microsoft account in order to play co-op. Okay, X. And then just let me play the single player campaign. I was a little bit annoyed by that. It didn't put me off completely. It took a few minutes. I had to I'm like, what is my password? And then I had to, because I haven't logged into Xbox Live in like 3 years probably. And then I was like, okay. And then I connected it and it was what it was, and it wasn't a big deal. But I was a little bit surprised by that. And I found it a little bit annoying. But at the same time, it's the right amount of petty as well, where I'm like, yeah, why not? I mean, why not? Everyone knows what time it is. So maybe you get what you can out of it. And it's going to be good for their own telemetry and stuff too, to see who's playing, which I'm sure they want to know. But
yeah.
Well, you must have noticed this.
Yeah. I mean, I think it just automatically did it for me because I think I have I don't know. I didn't have an issue signing in, but I also have, I play Xbox games. You know what I mean? I play them on PC. I don't know. Like it took me like,
yeah, but but when you signed on Halo, it didn't ask you to log. Like it must have asked you to connect your account.
I'm sure it did, but it doesn't stick out to me as a memory. Literally, like it's just so it was because I had all that information on hand anyway.
Yeah, I think I just use the QR code and just do it. It's not.
Yeah, because I'm scanned in on my phone. I'm signed in on my phone anyway. So I think what I did, I remember like I scanned in on my phone or whatever, and then it immediately did it. It took like 10 seconds.
Yeah, so that's nice. I mean, that's not the end of the world.
But I am also like, I'm in these ecosystems. So like I'm signed in on Xbox on my phone anyway, for no reason. I don't know why I am, but so it's convenient for me. It's dumb that it's there. Like I do think it's one of those things where it's like, you should be able to have this, like this should be like an X out window if you need it. Like what are we doing here? Like,
yeah, why again, it reminded me of Ubisoft where it's like, I'm not signing. Oh, I am signed up probably at some point, but I'm like, no, Circle, leave me alone. I don't mind you asking me right away. Fucking First Light did the same thing. I just find it weird, but whatever. It's not the end of the world. Again, I do think it's different if Tokon's asking you to sign in a PSN or Helldivers. I think that's different. And if it was asking me to sign in with multiplayer, I think it's different. Yeah. I'm talking specifically about single player functionality, but whatever. I guess that indicates that, well, the game can't be played offline then.
I guess so, which is crazy.
And what I mean by that is if you have an offline machine, well, the game's not even on the disc anyway, but if it was, you still wouldn't be able to play it.
I wonder. I might try that.
Yeah.
Because I have another PS5 that like I haven't hooked up in a while. I might see if it runs on it. Because like that would be so crazy.
You have it on disc? No,
but I mean I could just install it and just like unhook the internet and not it. Because I don't like to unhook the internet for the my main PlayStation because it's just like it acts really. It's like the thing with whenever you unplug it and it gives you that that screen where it's just like it tries to make you feel bad that you've unplugged it. It's like you really scared me. don't unplug me like that. Like I might not work next time.
We can't spy on you if you do this.
Yeah, it's all right. Shut up. But yeah, I don't know. I get why this is an issue, but like I kind of feel the way I felt about like the Helldivers thing, where I'm just like, I don't know, whatever. It's a game I want to play. It's fine, but it is crazy that like if it really can't be played offline, then like for just campaign is kind of crazy.
Chris, we'll have much more to say about Halo next week. We'll get a few other people together. We'll do a Secret Symbols Plus episode. We'll get into the story and all the rest too. In the meantime, let's end our episode as we always do with 6 questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, and ideas from the audience over on Patreon, patreon.com/laststandmedia. Submit your inquiries on the thread in the news feed each and every week. Our thread for this show goes live Wednesdays and is deleted Thursdays. You've already heard a bunch of inquiries from the audience, and here are 6 more. Video Game Bard wrote in and said, he said, hey, C plus C minus D equals G. G for gay, maybe. Says, my 2026 gaming year fell off the rails in April when a new gamer friend of mine convinced me to try Overwatch with him. I dismissed the idea initially since I've tried Overwatch before and it had never clicked, but he assured me that it was much different and had undergone a major overhaul in the last year or so. I tried it and after a few hours was totally hooked. Since April, I haven't played much of anything else. I'm hopelessly addicted to Overwatch and have now spent nearly 400 hours in the game. I briefly tried games such as Saint Slayer, Mina the Hollower, and Rhythm Heaven, but the Siren's Call of Overwatch keeps drawing me back in. The only breaks I've had from it have been when I left my console at home for a vacation or one night my internet went out. Even my days have been consumed with it. Every free moment I have between work and family has been spent watching Overwatch coaching tips, gameplay highlights, or lore videos. It is all consuming and there seems to be no end in sight. My question is, when was the last time a video game so enraptured you that it seemed to take over your whole life? Where you spent hours upon hours in the game itself and could think of little else but getting back to it when you were away. I'll shut up, queue for some competitive 6v6, kill a lonely pawn shop owner and rage when my team throws and listen. I don't even have a good answer to the question because I'll tell you why I wanted to bring this up. Because I've never played a game for 400 hours or anywhere close to it. So the answer is never. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. The reason I wanted to bring this up from Video Game Bard, Chris, is he got, and he's one of them now. And this is the new way that it's going. There's nothing wrong with it. It is what it is. But this is a casualty. I thought the letter was so interesting because I'm like, yes, this is how it happens. This is a great illustration. Obviously, on one end of the spectrum, you attract people with these games and this is all they play and it's all they ever know. But on the other end of the spectrum are the people who could have been relied upon to play and buy lots of different games and existed more readily in the ecosystem, getting sucked into these games too. No one's immune to it. And it's a great illustration of what is happening on PlayStation. That's why I wanted to read that letter specifically. Yeah. I was like, yeah, man. Now multiply your experience by many. Have you ever been into Overwatch?
I played Overwatch for about 30 hours or something like that, maybe 50. It's in that range, like around the time that it was like new and kind of popping. Like I remember I did play it and I liked it a fair bit, but it was one of those games where I was like, I played it because like often, like a lot, it was the way I felt about Call of Duty, honestly, where like back in the day where it's just like a lot of my friends are playing it. They want me to play. I'll jump on and I'll play and I had fun with it. But Overwatch definitely felt to me like this is pretty good, but it also felt to me like this is definitely their first person shooter, you know? Like this is definitely like from my perspective, as somebody who like really loves the genre and like it digs really deep into this shit, like I could feel it. Like it's like, okay, they've never really done this before. I'm sure it's better now than it was in some really key ways that frustrated me back in the day, but it's a good game. It didn't suck me in like that though.
Yeah, it's an interesting game to get so into so many years later. But I mean, that's the other interesting thing about these kinds of games. I actually was reading a story about Warframe recently about how they're just killing. And I'm like, this game is 13 years old. Yeah. And it's like bigger than ever. And it's funny that these games actually over time I mean, necessarily must attract new people. And they still do, even those that never imagined getting got. The thing about getting got by these games is I know that I would get got by something. It's just that I'm not really open to trying any of this stuff. And it's not because I'm like trying to remain pure. It's just I'm not that interested in it. But I know that there's probably some bullshit. Like neverness to everness or some bullshit where I'd be like, oh yeah.
Well, you played the hell out of The Division though, right? And
I did, but I did The Division 1 and 2. I love both of those games, but I feel like, and Overwatch is a more box style approach to a game. I get that, but I'm thinking more along the lines of like the ever perpetual game. Like The Division is still online, but it's not really relevant. You know?
Sure. Yeah.
God, I love The Division though. So good. It's so good.
It is good.
And I'm so disappointed by Heartland's cancellation because that might have been the one because that was going to be free. So
yeah.
That might have been the one where I was like, God damn it. And now I'm the guy spending like, buying battle passes and shit. I'm like, oh fuck, even I got. And if and when that happens, you definitely know it's on because I broke.
Yeah, man. I mean, I get it. Like PV player versus player is really satisfying because AI can only be programmed in so many different ways. Like even playing like really dynamic games. Like I would argue like the original Halo games are like really like they have really good AI and they react really well. But there's only so many like permutations of things that you've never seen before happening. And with dealing with other players in a live environment, you're constantly seeing shows like I can't believe that they thought to do that. Like it's you're playing against other people, and so like they're playing as other people will play, and it's rarely predictable. And so you are getting kind of like a very, very distinct experience every time. And so like I understand it. Like I've played many a multiplayer game at this point. And so I don't begrudge people for getting sucked into them. I could never stick to one to the point where like it's the only thing I played. Even for Destiny, which I played, like I think between Destiny and Destiny 2, I put like I think I have like 1,700 hours, maybe 15 to 1,700 hours in that series. But in between like rounds of Destiny, I was always playing like, oh, let me pick up Spec Ops: The Line and play through it, or BioShock Infinite, or well, not BioShock Infinite, that was before, but you know what I mean. But there are people who are dedicated. I remember posting my time in Destiny, like because when they had this like when it was shutting down and they had like they had a website that like tracked all your data accurately. I was like, oh cool, I'm kind of curious. And people were like, wow, I thought you played way more. I'm like, 1,500 hours is not nothing. And then I checked theirs, and I know it's an insane amount of time. Actually, it's like way more than I thought. And you know what's upsetting is like I bet there's way more. I bet I've spent way more across the Halo games. But then I click on their profile and it's like 15,000 hours in Destiny 1, and I'm like, okay, all right, you win.
I mean, that's
okay.
that's insane. I mean, that's fucking a job.
You win. Then you got me. I'm like Walter White, and that's just like, you got me. But
I have. There's always a little something when we bring up Overwatch, though, that I wanted to remind you of. Maybe I'll be Tracer. I'm already Tracer. What about Widowmaker?
No, it's okay. We can stop. I can't experience this again. I can't. I wonder how much damage that did.
Oh,
that song did to the. You know what's funny? That guy did the original Shark Tank theme.
Oh, really?
Yeah, literally. I think the Living Tombstone or something.
Yeah, the Living Tombstone.
Yeah.
Which is a great name, actually.
It is good, yeah.
All right. Chris, next inquiry comes from Pedro Miguel, who says, greetings, Sacred. Going to keep it brief. Why is there so much animosity towards ball and gun gamers from certain sectors in the community? As someone who buys NBA 2K yearly to play with my casual friends, I understand that sports games lack innovation and are riddled with microtransactions, but is that considered enough to get despised online? The holier-than-thou attitude from people in other genres who technically play the same with games with a different coat of paint, e.g. French slop and Souls-like games, is befuddling. Aside from the quality of the perspective games, are ball and gun and sword and potion gamers really all that different? If they stick to a particular genre, why can't we be like Racing Bros and be friends? This ball and gun gamer thing is like a new nomenclature. Never heard it in my entire life until this year.
It's I've heard it in the last like maybe like 3. Like I know like in the early 2020s I remember first hearing it. I mean look, I get it. It's not necessarily that playing those games is a problem. It's just there's a lot of people. How should I put it? This is kind of hard to describe. I would imagine that the overwhelming majority of people who play sports games are fans of sports first.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I would argue that that's not really true for other genres, really. I think most other genres are like games first, generally. Even first person shooters, which like I think kind of get lumped in with ball and gun. I think first person shooters are far more eclectic. Like there's like a person who loves first person shooters isn't necessarily a fan of like, I don't know, war films or something, you know what I mean? Or even just abject violence in general.
Right.
Like there's a difference there. I do think people who only play sports games or only play shooters are missing out. Like there's like a lot to the tapestry of what makes gaming, but I think really it's just easier to pick on sports fans because they're not as involved, really. Like they're not really around to defend themselves because they don't give a shit, because they're out playing Madden, or they're just not involved in the conversation because most of them are just not into games in the same way that most people that are into other genres are into games. And because they're not here to defend themselves and there's no debate, like they just kind of become the de facto punching bag.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I think anyway.
Someone wrote in about, and I think I responded to them privately about like, what if we did a podcast for ball and gun gamers? And I'm like, but there's a conflict there because they're just inherently casual.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with being casual, but you don't make podcasts about things for casual players. They don't care. They inherently do not care. And I told them, we learned this lesson when I was a journalist at IGN. We invested heavily in mobile games coverage. We invested heavily in World of Warcraft coverage, of Minecraft coverage. And what we learned was like, no one gives a shit. Not because like, if you're really hardcore about Warcraft, you know where to go for that stuff. If you're so casual that you don't know where to go with that stuff, you're not going to come to IGN for it. There's like a sort of conflict there. One thing I'll say though, is I was more of a ball and gun gamer as part of my pastiche of fucking interests in games for a long time. But I feel like we have to kind of give them their due. If you take the Circana data as a generalization of thirds, right? A third of people don't buy games. A third of people buy 1 or 2 games a year. A third of people buy more than 2 games a year that are on these consoles. These people are very much in the middle, or the third option, more of like us, and they're part of the vibrancy of what keeps these platforms alive. Madden and Football Club and NHL and NBA 2K and all these games are massive sellers, comparable to almost everything else that comes out. And you can't ignore that, because it's not like one does good and the others don't. It's like, no, the person who buys MLB The Show probably buys Madden, probably buys Football Club, probably buys NHL and NBA 2K, maybe 3 of 5, let's say 2 of 5. And it's like, that's important. They have PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live accounts, because these games, the interesting thing about these games too, about sports games in particular, is that they are irrelevant on PC. These are console people, because they are inherently, like, I've always been surprised by that, Chris. Like, you go and look at the Madden numbers. Like, Madden is one of like the biggest games in the United States year in and year out. And you go to Steam and it's like 10,000 people. It's like, do you have any idea how many people are playing this on PlayStation and Xbox right now? It's probably insane. In the millions a day that are playing it. And I think it's like what I was saying about the decentralized city states, like a Holy Roman Empire kind of thing, where it's like everyone's got their own little territory, but it's kind of the safety and general well-being of all of us require all of us, you know?
Right.
And I don't have any problem with them, especially because they really have no presence. It's, as you were saying, if their presence in the industry was weighted to the sales of their games, there would be a show about sports games 20 times bigger than Sacred Symbols. But it doesn't exist, because it's just the nature of it. So I want to say, like, let's show them a little respect, because they buy games, they spend a lot of money, they have subscriptions, and they're very much a part of this. And I have a little bit of that genetic code in me. I was the guy that used to buy Madden every year. I used to buy NHL every year. So, and what's funny about those games too is that they become lifestyle games. And it's one of the reasons why I stopped playing them, because I think, maybe I said this to Jaffe, but I might have said it to you last week, is like Madden would hit a lot harder for me if it came out like in the off season. Now that makes no sense. And it does technically come out in the off season. It comes out in preseason, but like if it was like, you're tired, you have no football, here's football in March. Now, of course, everyone's like, well, what's stopping you from playing it in March? In fact, it's like dirt cheap. But I'm like, it just hits a little different. Like, I know that if I play Madden when Madden's out, I'm going to be watching football, I'm going to be listening to football content, I'm going to be playing football video games. It's too much. So that's one of the reasons why I kind of backed away from sports games, was I was not getting what I wanted out of them anymore, because they require a lot of time. If you're only going to play them casually, you might as well not even bother. Not because you have to be good or bad at them. You don't have to play them online or anything, but just because it's all about like investing in seasons and franchises and the careers of players and fake players. And before you know it, you dump an enormous amount of time. I used to review the NHL games back in the day when I was a journalist, and it was a lot. So now the gun gamer, I think, is a little more nebulous, because the reality is that there are not that many gun games the way we used to define them. When you think about boxed gun games, right? You have Call of Duty, Battlefield, and Borderlands in the last year. I mean, that's basically it. A lot of those guys are elsewhere too. And what's funny is that they might be more casual. There really are no, outside of eFootball and a few other examples, there's no free-to-play sports games. And actually, the guys that play these sports games spend enormous amounts of money in them. Yeah. They might be more hardcore than some of you out there. You better watch yourself.
Maybe. Yeah.
So what sword and potion game? I'm
Sword and Potion
an
Gamers is pretty
I'm
good.
an eclectic gamer. I don't even know what, because sometimes people are like, "Oh, you're really into this and you're really into this," and I'm like, I'm really kind of into everything. I mean, there are genres that, unlike music, where I'll really will listen to almost anything. There are genres where I'm like, I'm not playing that. But generally speak, like an adventure game,
Yeah,
or
it's hard. I think I
Yeah.
tried Broken Age, and I was like, I like this, but like not enough to.
I can't think like this. I can't do this right now.
Yeah, I can't. I
It
can't
reminds
think
me of
about
playing
like
Maniac Mansion when I was a kid, and I'm like, I can't do this. I
yeah,
don't
like
wanna
I
do
can't.
this.
I can't think it's like, oh, the sponge goes on the door, and then like that's the key. Like I can't figure that out. I'm too stupid and impatient for that stuff. But like, I mean, I am, dude. I love shooters, dude. Like I like shooters are my bread and butter. I love them. I can feel like what engines something is on, just moving around for like a couple seconds. Like, oh, this is id Tech. I can tell by the way the cameras move. Like it just like I love them. But most people most people that I know who play games casually, like they don't play shooters like that, or they don't care. You know, like it's fine. I think everybody's got their niches. I actually don't think there's anything I wouldn't play. There's stuff that I assume I wouldn't like, but I will try anyway, just on the off chance that I like that library game that I talked about a couple episodes ago, where you just like, which by the way, I guess has spawned like an entire fucking subgenre of.
Yeah, there's probably like 10 copycats of it already.
Yeah, but it's weird because like one of them, I didn't check. I probably should have checked before, but like I didn't anticipate talking about it. There's another one where it's just like organizing VHS tapes at a video store, and it's like the same. It's the same thing. It's the same UI and everything, but I'm like, is it the same UI in a blatant ripoff sense, or is it the same UI because it's the same people? You know what I mean? Like I couldn't quite tell. It's like, and I didn't look into it because I was like, whatever, I'll figure it out. But like that's a game I didn't think I would like, and I ended up enjoying it. And I was just like, okay, cool. Like there are surprises like that every now and again. And it's why even games that I end up not liking, I try to go back and revisit, because a lot of it is headspace. A lot of it is like whether or not you're ready to receive a certain game or not. I really do believe that what makes whatever makes games click for people is ultimately like a house of cards. I really do believe like, oh, the lighting being like a hue, like literally one hue lighter or like one hue darker, like that's a subconscious thing that might make it click less significantly for like a different, or like the gun model being angled in a certain way. It's like that's going to be a turnoff to some people just visually, because it'll be like a disconnect even if they're subconsciously aware of it. So like whenever something does click for me, I'm like, I'm inherently curious as to why. And I'm always like that library game was one of them where I was like, why does this work? What is it about this? And I still don't really know. I'm fascinated by it.
Speaks to like, I think the organizational inherently organizational nature of the human. I think we like order. Well, a lot of us do anyway. Maybe not collectively, but I don't know. I think we're all part of this fabric. And yeah, so I agree with you. Like people do have this holier than thou attitude, but I think we should be thankful for them. And again, maybe I'm related to them in some way, so maybe I'm a little protective of that. But I also think that people that don't play sports video games, and I think there is a lot of ignorance on sports and sports video games in the gaming space, is they're insanely deep. These are not bullshit games. They do come out every year and they don't change very much by nature, which is too bad. But they simply would not sell over decades like they sell, with nothing. You know, like there's no year where it's like, oh, Madden bombed 50%. It's always killing. And now people are paying $100 for early access and doing all these things. These games, it's not a joke. Like I hope people out there that are familiarize yourself with these games. Yeah. You don't have to play them, but go watch like gameplay or go watch someone stream one of these games. They're deep and they're complicated and they're well made. Especially games like NBA 2K is very well respected. MLB The Show is very well respected, and Madden is very well, and / college football. Everyone's gonna have problems with all of those games, and people will write in, I'm sure, and be like, everyone hates it. It's like, no, they don't. Not everyone hates these games. These games are fucking cultural icons. Go to a dorm. Go to someone's house if they get home from work and they plop down on the couch and see what they play and see how fucking irrelevant and stupid it is.
Dude, it's so funny. Like this, I have a very vivid memory of like when we first moved upstate away from the city, and we moved into this new neighborhood, and I was trying to like, I think my parents were like, oh, we're just trying to like get Chris to meet some of the other kids in the neighborhood. And I was like, all right. So I went over. There was this kid who lived like right at our bus stop, and so he was just like, I would just stay over his house for a little bit before I went home. And I remember he's like, "Hey, you want to play some games?" And I was like, "Oh, what games do you have?" And it was all sports, literally like an entire like row. And I was like, nothing else. And I remember being like,
choose your poison.
I gotta go. I think I played Madden for a little bit, and I indulged it, but like I never went back again. I was like, I can't do it. I have nothing to converse about.
Yeah, he's not your guy.
No, it's not my guy. It's fine. Like people don't have to be other people's guys. But like I remember it vividly because I was like, oh, I can't. I didn't understand that was a real person. Like I knew because I had friends with sports games, obviously, but they were also like, here's War of the Monsters, or like here's like some weird, here's Hunter the Reckoning, and like they had other things. It was just kind of like a little flourish to their collection. Like I had I said RBI baseball in one of the last episodes. That's not true. It was like MVP baseball. I think I had MVP baseball 2005. I think I had another sports game as well, but it was like in the tapestry of the broader collection that I had. This was all Madden, all NHL, and then I think all NBA 2K or something like that, or like it was basketball. No baseball, no MLB The Show, or anything like that.
Yeah, that would have been the most approachable for you, probably.
Probably, yeah.
Ironically,
but yeah, just they're real out there, man, and they're serious. I bet that kid still plays.
Yeah, they're dead serious. It's a way to vicariously get your game, your sport fix. I'm an enthusiast of football and hockey, so I get it. It's like I'm always engaged with it. I always want to engage with it, and it's just sometimes there just can't be enough. And when I was a kid and I had more time, man, I was up these games' asses, dude. Constantly playing sports games as part, like you said, as part of the fabric of everything else. Anyway, Pedro, thank you for writing in. Tyler T wrote in and said, "Hey, Sacred Crew, I understand you have to talk about it, but this physical games drama is getting pretty old. Add to that the constant news cycles that portend a number of existential crises facing in the industry, and this really does feel like the least fun generation I can ever remember. Minus, of course, all the great games. How important do you think it is for the industry, Sony in particular, to capture a little of that fun again? To surround the great games with an equally great industry experience? Maybe we are at a point of audience volume where it simply doesn't matter and the machine churns on, but right now, outside of the great games, it's a fucking slog to be an enthusiast of this industry. Cheers." I agree, but I think what's important about this, Chris, and why I wanted to bring this up is it's all kind of within ourselves to get out of the games what we want. And it is a very negative time in the industry. I think that's inherent to shows like this because we cover the news and the trends and the decisions that these companies make and all the rest. And it's not great, but it's easy enough for the normal person to disconnect. Remember, through all of this shit that's happening in the industry, PlayStation is doing great. They want to be doing better. Console sales are lagging because of the hardware crunch, and the games aren't quite where we want to be. But like you'll see, the financials actually come out tomorrow. I was gonna see maybe even record a pickup, but I'm like, we'll just do it next week. But it's like we'll see how it's doing. And by the way, the financials will not account for any of the stuff with the physical game stuff. We won't know any of that until October. So, because that will run through September. So, and we're in that quarter right now. But what I'm trying to say is, who cares about the money really? But what I'm trying to say is, like, look at all the people that are having fun, clearly.
Yeah.
And try to remain within the bounds of that. There are like 150 million-ish users of PlayStation, like monthly active users. I imagine most of them are having an extraordinary amount of fun on PlayStation. We have to keep in mind that we are deeply connected enthusiasts. I was just reading stuff on PSN profiles about the trophy system, like the history of the trophy system, which I knew, but they had some interesting data in there. And they had the breakdowns of like where people are based on their trophy level. Like this percentage of people are at this level, this percentage. At the level I'm at, it's 0.3%. I bring that up because it's like, that's not the normal experience.
Yeah.
Manifestly. And so we have to remember we are a rarefied group of nerds that live and die by this shit. But for most people, it's just an accompaniment to their lives, and they are enjoying it. And so if you want to have fun again, don't depend on the companies to provide you the fun atmosphere. Use the games that they provide to have fun instead. And I think that's totally within you. I'm not that guy, by the way. I like riding and dying with it. But
yeah, I don't know. I think it's a drastically less fun industry to keep up to date with, or to be involved in the conversation. Like the conversation online, if you're in these spaces, is so bad. Like, and quite frankly, I'm just kind of, I don't know. I'm bored of the cynicism personally.
Yeah, I am too.
Like I'm really kind of over it. Like
Yeah.
I get it. I have issues with Campaign Evolved, right? You know, and I brought them up. I had fun. Like I finished the game and I was like, that was a good time. And I check online and everybody hates it. And then like it's like, okay, well, at a certain point, you just kind of have to be like, all right, I think I'm just gonna disengage. And it's hard. It's hard for us particularly because we have to engage. We have to, know what the fuck is going on. But I think there's like a subconscious way to do it where I'm just kind of like, yeah, I'm not really engaged here in this nonsense. The most insane shit that I've seen. I'll tell you about this where like there was a thing with Combat Evolved recently in the last like day or two. It was a little bit before the game came out properly. So like during the early access period where people were playing and there are bugged hitboxes in the Pillar of Autumn, like the first bit of it, where you're in the bridge and you get the gun.
Shooting at like the people on the bridge. Yeah.
And there were people like, because there's an Easter egg where if you kill the Marines in that bridge, like they kind of set a squad of invincible Marines after you to kill you. They're like, the Master Chief has gone rogue, like, and they it's really cool. I love
cool.
that.
I didn't know that.
But there's some bugged hitboxes where like some of the characters take way more shots to kill than it usually should just take a headshot. And I literally saw this where it was like somebody saying like, oh, they coded the female NPCs to be unkillable. Which like, first of all, no, you can't kill them. You can kill every single body. I did it just to prove a point. But I just remember being like, this is so unfun. What are we doing? Like, we're like schizophrenic, hallucinating, like woke conspiracy theories now over bad coding. What's more likely, that it's coded poorly, that this rushed game is coded poorly, or that they made sitting female Marines invincible in this one room, even though you can kill them immediately after you walk out. It's like, I don't know, like there's a distinct lack of like Occam's razor or like basic critical thinking going on in the critiquing space here that just makes it like, it does make it miserable to pay attention to. But the games are fun, and the experiences that are waiting for you on your machines is fun. So like, I think it's better to just focus on that. I think if you can choose to just distance yourself from whatever the fuck, because I really do believe a lot of the conversations online are just like not even real. I think a lot of it is like bots or like just fit, or to the extent that it is real, it's people like over exaggerating things for engagement or whatever. So like, there's no real authentic conversations anymore. So you can just kind of discount those really entirely and just focus on what you're having fun with and what you're excited about. And when things are wrong, obviously talk about what things are wrong. But I don't know. I'm so bored of it.
Yeah, I agree. I know I say this a lot, and I think people think it's dismissive, but I mean it. It's like some of you, not all of you, not most of you, some of you don't like video games.
Right.
Like you don't like them. And it's like being a film enthusiast, like a cinephile. But you're predisposed to hate everything. Do you really like them? Or are you like stuck in a different part of your life? Are you stuck with this assumption about who you are? If you look around the industry and look at the actual products and you can't find anything to play, if you have nothing to like, you don't like games. You don't. Mm-hmm. And I think that's okay, but I think that some people have to kind of accept that about themselves, because I think some people are wrapped up in an identity or wrapped up in a static nature of themselves, wherein maybe you did love them at one point. Maybe they're just not for you anymore. I don't know how you can look around the industry and even look at the games coming out in September, of which there are like a half dozen, like, whoa. Like,
yeah,
great looking shit. From Control to Wolverine to Onimusha to Blood to Dawnwalker to Silent Hill to whatever. It's like, I just think there's like this notion that I have this theory, I guess what I'm saying. Let me back up. I have this theory that because there are so many releases, and I think I've articulated this to you before, Chris, because there are so many releases and so many good releases and people find them, but there are like these micro communities of people usually that are finding them and not many people are playing them. No one rallies around what's great anymore because there's like 10 great things at once. And so everyone's kind of disparate and there's no overwhelming force of like, wow, isn't this a moment? Those kinds of games are exceedingly rare. They happen, but even when big games, I'm so amazed by games like Crimson Desert's a great example. Actually, that game came out earlier, or it came up earlier, where it's like no one talks about that game, but that game sold millions of copies and people loved it, and people are still playing it. But everyone's moved on to something else, and then to something else, and then to something else. Especially in the summer, like it's so funny to say this acutely. July 30th. At this point, 15 years ago, maybe even 10, but certainly 15, 20, there was nothing coming out. This month, last month, or next month, the dam would break with Madden. And then that would be basically it. And then September and then October, and then you really be rolling.
That was the big deal with Summer of Arcade back in the day, was that like you had like summer games coming. And they were like smaller games, but there were things in the summer, and there was like, oh my God, there's stuff to play in the summer. I remember that distinctly. Because even in game magazines, every time you would flip through, like release date was never, like there was never a summer game.
I think
incredibly rare.
I think these kinds of gaps, and you're absolutely right, and I think these kinds of gaps exist because those kinds of times with a dearth of releases forced everyone to kind of marinate and backtrack and then coalesce around certain things that they loved. I think that's how I really believe N64 benefited a lot from this. Even though it was a console that barely sold 30 million copies and there were not very many games for it, because there were so few games for it, the games that mattered really fucking mattered. And they still resonate to this day. You're about to see that with Ocarina of Time coming back out later this year. Is like, that's a great game, but man, did they have time to focus on it. And I think a lot of it just has to do with that. It's a good situation and a bad situation because we're in the golden age, and yet there's no evidence of it if you just look granularly because no one seems to like anything. But actually, there's so much to love. I'll just reiterate, it's within everyone to kind of treat the hobby however you want to. I like having a critical eye towards the business. I like studying it and understanding it and the good and the bad and really beating these companies up when they do bad things. But I also try to celebrate the things that they do well. And I do think that there's just a lot of people that refuse to ever celebrate anything. They think it's like they think it's bootlicking and like these companies exist to delight you, dude, and let them.
Yeah, or it's either something is the greatest thing ever, or it's literally evil. You know, those are the only like. There's no such thing as like something that's very good, but you can critique it.
True.
You know, like it is this like this strict binary, which is really really annoying because I feel like it didn't used to be like you could have a really nuanced conversation, and you still can, to be fair. Like I don't want to make it seem like everything is fucked. But like broader, like in the broader space, like online, like it's kind of done. Like that's long gone.
Yeah.
There's a lot of games coming out and they're really good. They have a lot of flaws. That's normal.
I don't know.
Crazy.
I get why people feel a certain way. There's a malaise. But man, the products are good. So, like September has the potential of being like an all-time month, in my opinion. Just based on the sheer number of releases, like it's like there's a lot, man. You have to make choices, like real choices about what you're going to play and all the rest. Anyway, Taurus wrote in and said, "Howdy, boys. What are the chances the PSN infrastructure can bear the load of everyone preloading GTA 6? Do we think PSN can stay online for when the game releases so that it can verify licenses and unlock the game for players? Man, this must be an urgent issue for them. The PlayStation Network went out a little bit last week and people were freaking out about it, which I thought was, I was laughing with Jaffe on it. I'm like, it came off as very touristy to me. That did, because everyone's like, see, and I'm like, are you new around here? PSN goes down all the time. But I imagine they are going to be fully prepared for a crush of people. I think we've learned long ago, and I think it's true, that they use Amazon Web Services. And I think that was part of why things went down. And so I imagine, I mean, I don't imagine, I know it because I worked at a place where we used it as well. It's like you go to them and you say like, we need this much bandwidth. You literally, the entire purpose of using these modular servers is to get the bandwidth you need at all times without having to pay for your own stacks. And then I'm way over my skis on this conversation, but what I understand about it is that there's a lot of danger in doing your own proprietary stuff because you have to make a shit ton of assumptions about your capacity. And it's simply easier, though not cheaper, but safer to outsource it. Because the cheapest solution would be for Sony to build this shit themselves, like huge server farms. But then it's like, well, how and why and what happened? It's our responsibility to replace the components and things go down. And then it really is our fault and all that kind of stuff. And so they offload all of that. And so because of that, I think it gives them a lot of flexibility. And I assume it'll be all hands on deck. And by the way, that'll be true for Xbox too. They're going to get crushed. So they have to be alive and ready and willing and able to go. We're close now, Chris. I mean, it's almost August, September, October. I mean, we're just 3 months away and change.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting. Still don't know anything about it. Everyone's getting real frustrated. I think it's great. I love that they refuse to say anything. I hope they keep it up as long as possible.
I'm very pumped.
Me too. I still have to get back to 5 and finish it. I was kind of losing steam on it, to be honest.
Yeah, they're long games, man. Even the ones I love, like Red Dead 2 and GTA 4. Like I remember being like, this is really great, but it is long.
Yeah, the Mexico stuff could have been like an expansion.
Oh yeah, and we talked about the epilogue.
Oh, and the and that's in the first one. The epilogue in the second one definitely should have been an expansion, I think.
Yeah,
because it's so crazy. It's like I don't even want to say it for people that have for some reason not played it, but it's like, wow, that's a lot of game. That's a lot of game. Good for them.
Yeah,
can't complain about that, I guess. Jack of all trades wrote in and said, greetings, CNC Music Factory. It has often been mentioned and assumed that there is no appetite for the PlayStation 6 because of the myriad factors around component pricing, the shaky economic conditions, and lack of first-party output. How real are those assumptions considering the PlayStation 6 doesn't even exist yet in any official capacity? I just think it's a little presumptuous to think the console is dead in the water based on anecdotal evidence and industry vibes unless there are consumer trend points and data that you are all pulling at. Apples and oranges comparison. But I think the Switch 2 selling at a respectable rate at a considerably higher price point than the Switch 1 isn't something to scoff at in the current economic climate, especially considering we haven't seen the same level of marketing and push from Nintendo like we did with the Switch 1 having killer apps like a new Zelda or Mario game to anchor a hardware launch to. That is true. Switch 1 had Zelda and Mario within 6 months, right? Which was Zelda launched with it, but they got Mario that fall. So it did really well. And I do think Switch 2 does portend well because you brought this up, I think, in the past, Chris. Is everyone hate, like when you looked at all the Switch 2 pre-release stuff when they would do like a Treehouse or whatever, and all the comments would be like, drop the price, and then boom, that thing sells like meteorically, like the best-selling hardware ever. Now, it is true, Jack of all trades, and you note this, I think you're at least implying it. It is apples to oranges in that it's still way cheaper than what the PlayStation 6 is going to be. But it is fair, Chris, to say this thing doesn't really exist. And we won't really know. Now, I want to be clear what I'm saying. It exists. There's a console and there's a handheld. Surprise! But in the mind of the consumer, the normal person, you still see stuff all the time where people are skeptical. They're like, "How do you that might not be true?" It's like it's true, but people haven't conceptualized it yet, and you really can't judge it until they do because it's impossible. It's shown, and then everyone's like, "Whoa."
Yeah. I've said that many times where it's like it's possible that like when we see it, the appetite will begin. Because there will be something to attach to, there will be something to envision. Like a lot of it is envisioning it in your house, like thinking about it and thinking about like how it looks and like what the controller is going to be, what the UI is going to be, all these different things go into that. I think the only thing I would say though is that by this time in previous generations, people were clamoring for the next machine, and I don't really see that this time.
Right.
And I want to be very clear. The PlayStation 6 is going to sell millions of units. I think no one's under the assumption that it's going to sell like 100,000 units or something. Right. It's like it's not going to be an abject failure. But I do believe that like if the economy keeps going the way it's going, and component pricing keeps going the way it's going, and it's looking like it will, like this thing is going to be not only unwanted broadly, but incredibly unaffordable. And so like, and maybe that's okay with them because we are seeing a Sony or we're seeing a PlayStation ecosystem that's very, very different compared to generations past. We're seeing we're seeing a hardware strategy that is probably more okay with extending the life of the previous generation because it buttresses in ways that they didn't necessarily have to in prior generations. Like people are going to be playing PS5 for another 10 plus years. And they know that now because people were playing PS4 for that amount of time, and it was significantly weaker hardware, that people were eager to move on from. So, like, dude, by the end of the PS4 generation, like, those machines were chugging and screaming, and my PS5 is fine.
Yeah, same.
You know what I mean? Like, even my base PS5 doesn't really, like, I'm sure, like, granted, I don't play, like, crazy stuff on it, I guess, so, like, I guess I don't know. But the PS5 Pro is there. And like, I'm fine and most people are fine. And I think it's really going to come down to like how alluring that handheld stuff is. Like what is it going to be doing differently? Are we going to have a different UI? Like what's that experience going to be like? Because that's the stuff that's fun to play with. And enthusiasts will be all over it. It'll sell millions. It'll look like it's doing well for a little bit, I think. But I do think like that price is going to hit a wall at some point and it's going to slow down, and that's probably, and you know what, maybe they sell it for a higher price, understanding that people will just be on PlayStation 5 and they can just make money off software, and this will be like a boutique thing for like people who like really who are really eager for the next generation, and maybe they're okay with that. Maybe it's not this thing that we've thought about consoles being in generations past where like they've got to move people over. Maybe they're looking at it as like a PS5 Pro. Because why wouldn't you? I guess in some ways it would benefit you in some ways to look at it that way. So I don't know. We're making a lot of assumptions. It's not real. You're right. I just have a feeling, and I don't think it's like uneducated.
No, I agree. It all hinges on the price. We all know what the device is and what it's going to do. It's a PlayStation. I think it's all. I think that the way they win beyond launch, where the enthusiasts will buy it, is just shocking people with the price in a good way. Where like, I think if you even hit $700 or $800, like we said, I think people would be like, oh. Because I think people are just girding their loins, expecting the absolute worst, which is possible, but I think Sony understands what time it is. But you're right. I mean, I think you're absolutely right. It's going to do well, and then it'll probably end up plateauing. And Sony probably expects that. I was thinking about this, though, Chris, the other day. You see these images for PC specs, right? Where it's like, a Game X is coming out. Here's what you need to run on this, and this. They're going to start releasing that shit for PlayStation, I think. Because there are going to be games for the PS5, PS5 Pro, PS6 handheld, and PS6. And they're all going to have different frame rates, different resolutions, all these different things. And I'm interested to see how that plays out too, because they can really use that to their marketing advantage of this being kind of a soft generation, wherein don't go anywhere if you don't want to. You're fine. But tantalize people by the amazing power of the new machines, and for the PS6 portable, the portability of it. Yeah. So it's like, here's 4K 60 on PS6 hardware. On PS5 Pro, it'll be 1280 or 1080 60 on whatever. It'll be 1080 30, and people will just eventually get tired of that shit. Plus, hopefully, the prices will adjust. But again, it's all hypothesizing. I would love to be at Sony knowing what they're doing and listening to this shit.
Right, yeah.
And seeing like what hits them really too close to home, and what's they're being like, these guys are fucking retarded.
Yeah, they don't know anything.
Yeah. So
we're not even making a console.
Yeah, right. So the other thing is, I am curious. I wonder if anyone has any information on it, like externally. You have to imagine that they have to have games in development outside. And people, it might be as simple as saying like, create the game towards this PC spec. And when we get closer.
Probably what it is.
Right.
I would imagine.
Because I expect this shit's going to leak at some point in a more meaningful way. The leaks we have about, well, the reason we know what the hardware is because of all the manufacturing stuff, but eventually the controller will leak. I say this is the guy who leaked the DualShock 4 controller, or confirmed it. It was leaked to me. Like these things are going to start popping up places, and it could even be first or second party. It doesn't have to be third party because that's when the shit really leaks. Do you remember that the Wii U leaked in a window reflection? I want to say at like a Ubisoft studio. Like there was something like where someone like saw it in like the reflection of a monitor. It was like something crazy. Like people get nuts when they feel like something can be in there, and so I think they'll be a little bit cagey about that too. And I'm sure the NDAs are pretty ironclad, but we'll know soon. I think in the next 6 months for sure. I would imagine, even if not officially, unofficially, what this thing really is, and then we'll have a much more and then we can really get into how we feel like it's going to do.
Yeah. When do you think Cerny is going to come out and talk about it?
Probably Q1, I would say. Get it going. And I think if they're going to release it in the fall, I think you go Q1. But again, you might not want to even say anything too soon. The problem that they're going to come up against ultimately beginning, I think, in the spring is that it's going to start getting manufactured. And then things are really out of your hands because that shit starts walking away. And people, so you got to say something and dissuade people from doing that kind of shit. Because I think that once it starts being manufactured in a box, there's no possibility. Like you'll wake up one day and there'll be a picture of the box or something, like in some warehouse, and you'll be like, "Oh fuck, there it is," and they're not going to wait that long. So you would assume it's got to be Q1, unless the console comes out like in 2028, like spring 28. But I don't think they're going to do that. We'll see.
Yeah.
Shiny Ryuji wrote in with the final inquiry. He says, "With Silent Hill Townfall previews hitting this week, what is you guys' hype level? Since it's a stealth and avoidant game." So yeah, there are previews for it. The game comes out as a PlayStation 5 console exclusive from Screenburn. Annapurna acting as co-publisher with Konami. September 24th on PS5. I don't know how I feel about this. I've been trying to ignore it. I'll be honest with you. I was kind of, I people know this already. I was so blown away by Silent Hill 2 Remake. And then I thought Silent Hill F was kind of disappointing in my opinion. I know Dustin really liked it, but I was like, that was more combat oriented, which is cool. I'm down for a Silent Hill game that's more avoidant and stealth based. Yeah. I think fighting a little bit's cool, but like trying to avoid the fight and not even having really the means to fight. So maybe something even more like Outlast.
Right.
With the camera. Outland is the Housemarque game.
Yeah.
Which is also great, but not what we're talking about.
That's like a 2D. That's the one with the yellow and blue, or the
blue and red. It's like
blue.
It's like Ikaruga almost, or something like that, where you're yeah.
I had no idea that was them. I think that was on mobile, right? I think I played that on mobile.
It might have been, yeah. It was a rare Housemarque did that with Ubisoft, so it was like a rare third party game they did during that.
Yeah.
I reviewed that back in the day. It was a really, really good game. So I really don't know. I don't know what to think because I've not been paying too close attention to it. And I'm trying to stay away from it, but it is like the more subdued game coming out in September, and it comes out towards the end of September. So for console exclusives, you're looking at Wolverine and then right into Townfall, which is nice, and coming off of Tokon, which is kind of cool. So I feel like the Sony PlayStation has no games thing is kind of, well, they'll never get away from it, but it is kind of decaying if you pay attention. And Saros earlier in the year too. So it's starting to come out. What do you think? You have any thoughts on Silent Hill Townfall?
Yeah, I'm curious about it. Silent Hill's never been like my preferred horror series anyway. Like it doesn't have like a lot to live up to impress me necessarily. Like I could be open to it. I just wasn't that pulled in by F. You know, like I didn't even get it. I was just kind of like, this isn't really speaking to me. But if this is really like more avoidant and more like stealth oriented, then like I'm significantly more interested.
Yeah, the thing about F was I liked it. I beat it, and then I started to play it again, and I'm like, I don't want to do this. And that's usually the bad sign for a survival horror game, because I really love replaying survival horror games, whether it's Dead Space or Chronos or the Resident Evil games or whatever. It's always fun to go back and do them again. And I was talking to Micah recently about because Onimusha does this too, where I love the Capcom convention of you beat the game a few times, you unlock some things, and then they're like, all right, go beat the shit out of it. Like here's like like in Resident Evil, it's like here's the unlimited rocket launcher, like it's trivial. And I love getting to that. I love getting to that position in those kinds of games. But Silent Hill 2 is really cool because there's multiple endings. But yeah, Silent Hill F, I just wasn't feeling it. So I'm not on the fence. I'm gonna buy and play Silent Hill Townfall, but I am a little softer on it than I would have otherwise been, I think. Different studio. Konami's trying different things. I appreciate that. Rooting for you, Konami.
Yeah, I hope it's good.
Me too.
September's just gonna be like it's gonna be. I'm fixated on Control that month, but there's a lot coming out.
I don't know what I'm gonna do, dude, because it's like, did you see, by the way, Control's supposed to be 50 hours to do everything in it. So
but to do everything is that's
yeah, 30 hours to beat the game in 50 hours. Now that could be dev math. We don't get dev math very much anymore because we don't do E3 and shit like that. So there's like not these like blatant these interviews anymore. But I don't know what I'm
5 extra hours of PlayStation gameplay, like of gameplay exclusive to PlayStation. What the hell does that mean?
Yeah, I hate that shit.
It's such an insane.
But we'll see. Yeah, we'll see though with this, Chris, because I don't know how it's all going to shake out. There's so many. I don't know what I'm going to do. I gotta just make a selection because I really kind of want to play them all equally in the beginning of the month. So I think maybe even just whatever comes first is what I just get into and just go from there. And that might be the best use of my time.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get the hell out of here. It's time to go. That's all we have for this episode of Sacred Symbols. Chris, it was good to be here with you as always today. Anything to say as we go? What's on your agenda?
Nothing. I'm helping a friend, the same friend move. But we're just unpacking. They're like walking distance, so it's like not a big deal. But outside of that, probably just get food. It's a pretty low key day. Nothing going on. I do have to do laundry like really bad. I've been ignoring it.
Yeah, laundry's the you have out. Do you have to do it out go, or do you have a thing in your? Do you have in suite laundry?
It's not really far. It's like 2 doors down. It's not
so it's
not
in
a
your
hassle.
Building. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a hassle. It's just kind of like, it's not a hassle to do it. It's literally just the chore of like, you know what it is though, really? It's the fact that it's quarter-based machines, or it's an app that connects to like some fake wallet or whatever. But the issue is like the room that the laundry room is in has it's like lead or something.
Oh, it's like Hitler's bunker.
So
yeah,
like,
I got you.
So like it's such a it's like this weird balancing act to try to connect to the app right before I get in, so it syncs up and then like it's back in, and that's tedious. And then also getting quarters is tedious because you have to go to the bank, which I have to walk to the bank, which is like a 20-minute walk in the fucking Los Angeles sun, which is not fun.
Yeah.
Or I guess you could go to, because most cash registers don't have quarters anymore. Like it's crazy. So it's really just that makes it just tedious, but I got to do it. Well,
Godspeed to you, my friend.
What about you? What do you got going on?
I don't know. I was thinking about mowing the lawn. It's just so hot out. I don't really want to, but I really should at some point. So maybe I'll do that. And I don't know. Eat dinner, hang out, watch whatever the fuck's on TV. Like I just put ESPN on in the background. It's like the fucking biggest nonsense you've ever seen in your life on there at this point as we wait for the real sports to come back. So yeah, that's about it. But yeah, nice low key episode this week. Not too much to talk about. Sony financials again will have already happened by the time people hear this, but we recorded too soon. So we'll get into that next week. All right, Chris, good to see you as always, my friend. Thank you again for your time. Be well. And thank you all out there for your love and kindness. We appreciate you. Patreon.com/LastStandMedia for early ad-free access and LastStandMedia.store for merch. See you next time. Until then, goodbye.
Take care, guys.
Sacred Symbols, a PlayStation podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is proudly recorded in the USA. The show is conceived by, is written by, and is directed by me, Colin Moriarty. My co-hosts are Chris Raygun Maldonado and Dustin Furman. The show is produced by executive producer Dustin Furman. All of Last Stand's theme music is by my best friend, Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand's shows, including Sacred Symbols, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer level on Patreon, our highest tier, and we're grateful for your thoughtful and kind contributions to our independent endeavor. Thank you.